Chapter 191. When Huamin arrived at the hospital, Xiaomei was nowhere to be seen. Only the head nurse, Nan Nan, and Ting Ting were there. What happened? Where's Xiaomei? Isn't she on the night shift? She's injured. Huh. Huamin was a little surprised to hear Ting Ting say this. Huamin was a little surprised. The head nurse hesitated for a moment before saying, "It's like this, the patient in room 1 is a little irritable. When Xiaomei was drawing his blood, she was too nervous and her hand trembled, causing the needle to move. In a fit of anger, the patient threw a glass vase at Xiaomei's head. Xiaomei was sent to the emergency room of the first hospital." "That's terrible. I heard that she had to get 7 stitches on her forehead. I wonder if she'll be disfigured?" Nan Nan seemed to be gloating. Ting Ting pursed her lips and said in a strange tone, "I told you that room 1 wasn't that easy to stay in, and you two were fighting over it. Great, now you're in trouble." Xiaomei's technique was bad to begin with, but she still dared to draw young Master Su's blood. She's asking for it. But it's fine, young Master Su has always been generous. As soon as something happened, his assistant arrived. "I heard that Xiaomei's injury will be compensated according to the number of stitches, 200,000 per stitch," the head nurse said calmly. Ting Ting and Nan Nan seemed to be jealous. She's so lucky to earn one. 4 million so easily. She even got the money for a Porsche. Looks like Xiaomei's crappy BMW X1 is finally going to be replaced. "Wait a minute, so you're looking for me because?" Huamin had already gotten off work. She came here in the middle of the night not to listen to them flaunt their wealth, but to ask how she could help. The head nurse glanced at her and said, "The person in room 1 is Su Yu. You must know Su Yu, right?" Huamin shook her head. Then, the other 3 looked at Huamin as if they were looking at a monster. Huamin, on the other hand, was calm. There were plenty of big shots in the city that she didn't know, so why would she want to know them? "Are you sure? You don't know the head of the 4 princes of the Su family? Are you from the countryside?" Ting Ting was speechless. "That's right. Among the 4 young masters, the most famous one is Su Yu, followed by young master Wuxia. You actually don't know him? You must be drunk." Nan Nan also had a mocking look on her face. Huamin really wanted to say that she didn't want to know Wuxia, but she was too lazy to mention it. She didn't want anyone to know about her relationship with the Hua family. "So, Su Yu is staying in room 1. So what?" Huamin continued to ask. "Young Master Su has a bad temper. He strained his ligament when he was racing. It's not a big deal, but the Su family takes it seriously and sent him here last night for treatment. We use the best medicine, and everything he eats is flown in from Australia. We can't make any mistakes when taking care of him. They're still young, so their skills aren't that good. You've been doing clinical trials at the first hospital, especially when you performed a C-section on a pregnant woman. So, drawing blood and giving 4 fluids shouldn't be a problem. We're thinking that you'll be in charge of these needles in the future." After the head nurse finished speaking, Huamin understood that they wanted her to do these things that no one else dared to do. In other words, the one who was most likely to offend someone was Xiaomei. She didn't do a good job in drawing blood and was smashed by young Master Su and had to get 7 stitches. Therefore, no one else dared to do anything. Thus, they thought of the newcomer, Huamin. Seeing that Huamin didn't say anything, the head nurse continued, "I won't let you do it for free. I'll ask the higher-ups to give you an extra 200 yuan a day." "Sister Huamin, you should agree, right? Otherwise, our department will really be wiped out by young Master Su." Huamin suddenly understood. Other than being young and beautiful, the other 3 nurses in the department didn't have any experience at all. They didn't even dare to draw blood. "I'll do it." "That's great." Seeing that Huamin agreed, the other 2 young nurses let out a sigh of relief. "Then, Sister Huamin, this isn't 4 drip. You can give it to young Master Su." Ting Ting immediately took out a tray with syringes and 4 drip. Huamin changed into a white coat, took the tray, and walked towards room 1. "Head nurse, can she do it?" a young nurse asked worriedly. "Who knows? It depends on her luck. Even if she gets beaten, she won't be beaten for nothing. Young Master Su is super rich." The head nurse smiled. Chapter 192. Huamin didn't know who Su Yu was, so he wasn't as worried as the other nurses. Tingting had seen how terrifying young Master Su was this morning. He yelled at her during ward rounds, and she burst into tears. Of course, they all had their own selfish motives. They wanted to use their beauty to make young Master Su take pity on them. Why would they want to be nurses? Apparently, it was easy for young Master Su's Imperial Star Entertainment to promote a female star. Currently, 2 of the 4 most popular actresses in China were promoted by Su Yu. In short, he threw money at them. Because Su Yu was so rich, he became popular as soon as he promoted them, not to mention the nurses. Wherever Su Yu went, women would rush to him and throw themselves at him. He was different from Qin Chu. Qin Chu was low-key. Although everyone knew that GK had a prince, not many people had seen him in person. Su Yu, on the other hand, was high-profile, flamboyant, and hot-tempered. He changed women faster than he changed clothes. Not only was he the president of an entertainment company, but the Su family also controlled a lot of economic lifelines. He was one of the top 5 richest people in China for 5 years in a row. When Huamin walked to the door, Su Yu was on the phone. He had been racing for many years. He had been tinkering with cars since he was 12 or 13. He had never had an accident. This year, for some reason, he was racing in a mountainous area. His car collided with another car, and he tore his ligament. He had to rest at the Southside Recuperation Center for a while. Everyone's expenses were different here, and they were calculated according to their personal conditions. Su Yu's room was a suite. It was more than 100 square meters, and it had all the appliances and furniture. Even the bed was multifunctional. It had a private Wi-Fi network, and the seafood they ate was flown in from Australia. It was said that it cost at least 190,000 yuan a day. It was practically burning money. There were 4 bodyguards in black suits outside the room. They stood there motionless like mummies. Every 8 hours, they would be replaced by another 4 people. Those who knew would think that a rich man lived inside, but those who didn't would think that it was the head of state. It was too grand. It was Huamin's first time seeing such a high-profile person. When she walked to the door, she had to be scanned, as if she was a female killer. Go in. As soon as Huamin entered, he saw an unidentified flying object flying over. She reacted quickly and tilted her head to avoid being hit. Then the thing fell to the ground. It was a silver-gray 6S. Scram. Su Yu was not in a good mood. After scolding his assistant on the phone, he said to the person who came in without looking at him. Huamin ignored him. He walked over, connected the 4-tube, and hung it up. I told you to scram, didn't you hear me? What if all the patients tell us to leave? Who will take care of you? If you can take care of yourself, why are you here? Do you think a 5-star hotel is enough? Huamin said snappily. Su Yu frowned slightly. It was the first time in his life that someone dared to speak to him with such an attitude. He wanted to see which nurse was so bold. Was she tired of living? Or was she trying to play hard to get? When he turned around and saw Huamin's face, he was stunned. He had seen her before. In his WeChat moments and on TV, it was exposed a while ago. Aren't you the nurse who performed C-sections for pregnant women? Su Yu stared at Huamin and asked. That's right. Why are you here? Su Yu was surprised. Huamin did not answer. While he was in a daze, she grabbed his left hand and inserted the needle. By the time Su Yu felt a slight sting, she was done. Who told you to give me the 4? Su Yu was furious. Don't move, it's not good if the needle rolls, Huamin reminded him. Take it away, I don't want an injection. Su Yu impatiently reached out to pull out the needle. Then Huamin crossed her arms and looked at him. If you're not afraid that I'll give you another injection, go ahead and pull it out. I'm not the one who's in pain anyway. Su Yu immediately stopped. He raised his head and looked at Huamin with a sullen face. Stupid girl? Do you know who you're talking to? Chapter 193. Huamin ignored him and took out a ballpoint pen from the pocket of his white lab coat. He held the medical record in his hand and said, Mr. Su Yu, right? Get 2 bottles tonight and I'll draw your blood tomorrow morning. You have to be on an empty stomach, so don't eat anything after 8 p.m. You can drink water. After he finished speaking, Huamin walked out. Damn it, get back here. Before Su Yu could finish his sentence, Huamin had already opened the door and left. This was the first time in his life that someone treated his words like farts. No matter what he said or how angry he got, Huamin completely ignored his existence. Are you guys dead yet? Get your ass in here. Su Yu's face was filled with rage. One of the bodyguards immediately ran in. Young master, what's the matter? Are you blind? Pick up the phone on the floor. I want to make a complaint. The quality of the nurses in this hospital is too low. Okay. The bodyguard bent down to pick up the phone and handed it to Su Yu. Su Yu picked it up and saw that the screen was broken. He couldn't make a call. Where's your phone? Give it to me. My phone is charging, the bodyguard replied honestly. Get up, get up. Seeing these idiots, Su Yu was even more annoyed. After Huamin walked out unscathed, the head nurse and the two young nurses were surprised. Huamin, are you okay? I'm fine. Huamin shook his head. Young Master Su, didn't get angry? I didn't pay attention to his condition, I was only in charge of the 4 drip. Did he get angry? Tingting asked tentatively. Huamin shook his head. I'm not sure, I didn't pay attention. Not bad, well done. The head nurse patted Huamin's shoulder. Head nurse, I'll go back first. I'll come back tomorrow morning to draw his blood. Alright, go back. Be careful. After Huamin left, Tingting thought that Su Yu had calmed down a lot, so she pulled down the collar of her nurse uniform. Then, she wiggled her butt and walked in again to deliver dinner. In less than a minute he was once again thrown out by Su Yu. The food was scattered all over the floor. Su Yu was angry. Why were the nurses so stupid? He couldn't even do such a small thing. That idiot who drew his blood in the morning, he only stared at his arm. The nurse was so frightened that her hand trembled. It hurt so much that she couldn't bear it. Everyone said that he was angry. But the nurse who had just inserted the needle, her technique was not bad. She only felt a little pain after inserting the needle. News of Su Yu throwing a tantrum and overturning the dishes spread. In less than half an hour, Lady Su brought the maid to deliver the food. She was afraid that her son would be wronged, so she scolded the head nurse again. Wang Lin scolded her so much that she didn't dare to say a word. After Mrs. Su left, many women came to visit him one after another. There were famous models and actresses. There were socialites and even famous hosts from satellite TV. Without a doubt, they were all here to see Su Yu. Everyone brought food. Some of it was made by themselves, while others specially ordered food from Su Yu's favorite restaurants. Their methods of fighting for favor were shocking. When Huamin returned home, Qin Chu hadn't eaten yet. He was sitting on the sofa watching the financial news. Why aren't you eating? Let's eat together. Huamin felt a warmth in his heart. He took off his jacket, washed his hands, and the two sat at the dining table. How was work today? Qin Chu asked casually. Pretty good. But I heard that the South Side Recuperation Center isn't easy. Many nurses get injured for no reason. It seemed like nothing could escape Qin Chu's eyes. Those were just accidents. Take care of yourself. I know. After all, you put a lot of protection on me, Huamin added. Qin Chu couldn't help but smile. It's good that you know. You're busy at work too. Don't worry about me. I'm an adult, I'll be fine. Do you think I'll believe your bullshit? Qin Chu didn't believe that Huamin would take good care of himself. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been blackmailed and blackmailed. If Qin Chu hadn't stopped him, who knew what would have happened to him? Okay. Huamin knew that he wasn't persuasive enough. Oh yeah, buy your brother a car. I heard he likes cars, Qin Chu said casually. Chapter 194. Why do you want to buy him a car all of a sudden? Doesn't he like cars? What does he like? He's still a kid. He's still in school. He can't be high profile, Huamin refused immediately. You can buy a low-key local brand. No, that won't do either. Huamin didn't know that Qin Chu had overheard the conversation between Zhu Lingling and Huamin during dinner yesterday. Qin Chu knew that Huamin hated her brother, so he suddenly wanted to do something for him. However, seeing that Huamin was so insistent, Qin Chu didn't say anything else. After taking a shower, the two of them went to bed. Ever since Qin Chu didn't succeed that day, he was so angry that he had been lying on Huamin's bed. He slept like this for a few days. Occasionally, he would even take advantage of her. It was a blessing in disguise. Qin Chu, can you stop touching me? Huamin was burning with anxiety. Qin Chu's hand was originally on her waist, but sometimes it would inadvertently move up. She was so scared that she didn't dare to move. I can't eat you, but I can't touch you? Qin Chu suddenly felt wronged. Huamin's face instantly turned red. She didn't want to talk about such a dirty topic with him anymore. Then Qin Chu hugged her from behind and slept like that. Qin Chu's sleep quality was actually very poor. During the 7 years in America, it was probably because he missed Huamin. Therefore, he had always been a light sleeper. He would wake up with even the slightest sound. After returning to China, it was the same. He would often wake up in the middle of the night and smoke a few cigarettes before he could sleep. However, after sleeping with Huamin, he could actually fall into a deep sleep. This was because when he smelled Huamin's body fragrance, he would feel extremely safe and peaceful. Even if the whole world were to collapse, he would not be willing to wake up. In the morning, they went to work separately. Huamin drove the car very steadily, afraid that he would accidentally graze the car. After arriving at the hospital, she quickly changed her clothes and prepared to draw the blood of the patient in room 1. Huamin, you must be careful, the head nurse reminded him. Huamin nodded and entered the ward with the blood-drawing tools. Su Yu was in the middle of a video conference. He leaned against the bed and looked at the other end of the video with a serious expression. Huamin walked over and picked up Su Yu's arm. Suddenly, Su Yu pulled his arm back. Who told you to touch me? I told you yesterday that I would draw blood today. Get out. I don't smoke, Su Yu said coldly. Okay, you don't have to smoke. At worst, you'll just have to stay here for another month. Wait, come back here. Su Yu put down his laptop and shouted when he saw that Huamin was about to leave. Huamin stopped in his tracks and turned around. What did you mean by that? It's obvious. You're not cooperating with the treatment, so you'll definitely recover slower than others. It doesn't matter. I'm not the one staying here. Your family is rich, so you can stay. When Su Yu heard this, he immediately became angry. He thought for a moment and ordered coldly, Come here and draw my blood. Huamin's lips curled up as she slowly walked over. You better be careful. If I prick you wrong, you'll end up like that nurse. It's not bad. I heard that she got 1.4 million in compensation. Why don't you give me 1 million in compensation as well? I promise that I'll prick you more than her. You? For the first time, Su Yu was so angry that he was speechless. Why are you angry? Did I say something wrong? He pricked you and you still gave him 1.4 million yuan. Aren't you just looking for trouble with money? Stupid girl? You'll regret it if you offend me, Su Yu warned. Did anyone tell you that it's best not to make enemies with medical staff, especially when you're in the hospital? If I accidentally cause a medical accident, you'll be in big trouble. Do you dare? You'll die an embarrassing death if that happens. What does that matter? I'll drag you down with me. Plus, you're so rich and I'm just a nurse. After speaking, Huamin pulled out the needle and pouted at Su Yu. Press it down, or else it'll bruise. For some reason, Su Yu listened to her and pressed down on his needle. Do you believe that I can kick you out of the hospital immediately? You can't even survive in Sea City anymore, Su Yu said word by word as he looked at Huamin's back. Huamin turned around and smiled brightly. He asked, Do your parents know that you're so childish? Chapter 195. Without waiting for Su Yu to say anything, Huamin turned around and left, leaving young Master Su alone in the room. What was this? Did someone provoke him? She actually dared to call him childish. What a damn woman. Was she tired of living? Is there anyone breathing outside? Get one of them in here. Su Yu roared. Thus, a bodyguard ran in. Young master, what are your orders? Remember the nurse who just left? Yes. The bodyguard nodded. Yes, remember her face. Don't let her come to my room in the future. Yes, young master. Su Yu pressed down on the needle. He was quite angry. He was famous for his hot temper in the circle. Since he was young, he had been the center of attention. Even his parents had never spoken loudly to him. Later on, the brothers he met also respected him and followed his lead. No matter what decision he made, no one dared to go against him. Later on, he met all kinds of women who wanted to kneel down and lick his boots. He knew that these people were forced by the power and prestige of the Su family. As the only son of the Su family, Su Yu had become a rare treasure. Even his grandfather, who was the head of the military, doted on him. His grandfather once said, as long as you don't do anything that goes against humanity's bottom line, your grandfather will always support your decisions. When he was young, because of his unruly temper, he went to the army to gain experience. When he graduated with the best results and was about to be promoted to a regiment commander, he suddenly announced his retirement. After his retirement, he said that he wanted to start a company for fun. However, he didn't want to be the family's bank. Thus, his father gave him 500 million yuan. In just 5 years, Imperial Star Entertainment rapidly rose in the domestic media industry and became an entertainment giant. The company produced countless stars. Last year, they even spent 80 million yuan to sign the popular movie queen, Annie Leong. Imperial Star Entertainment's stock price also soared. Now, their quarterly profits reached 1 billion yuan. The movies they invested in also became box office legends. One had to admit that Su Yu had a great business mind. The entire Su family also spoiled this ancestor. As for the women around him, it was as if he was looking at flowers on horseback. Every month he would change a few women. From movie stars to young models, from socialites to hosts, there were women from all walks of life. None of them did not want to rise to the top. A young lady of the Su family didn't even dare to think about her position. She only wanted to be his lover so that she could enjoy endless glory and wealth. It was said that young Master Su was very generous. He always said that problems that could be solved with money were not problems at all. No matter what, I'll just throw money at you until you're blinded. On the second day after he entered the Southside Recuperation Center, he was tormented by an unknown nurse. Su Yu couldn't take it anymore. He ordered the bodyguards to watch over Huamin and forbade him from entering the room. After Huamin successfully drew Su Yu's blood, he went to room 2 to take care of the old man. The old man's complexion was quite good. He sat on the bed alone and played chess. Huamin smiled. "Sir, aren't you bored being alone?" "I can't help it if I'm bored. Young people like you don't know these things. You only know about online games and mobile games. My grandson is always at home playing Plants vs. Zombies on his phone." "Haha, it's Plants vs. Zombies." Huamin laughed. He thought that the old man was too cute. Who knows what kind of zombies they are? Anyway, since the advancement of technology, these traditional things have been gradually eliminated. The old man sighed slightly. Huamin walked over and looked at the layout and direction of the chess. He picked up a horse and jumped. The old man looked up and was surprised. "You know how to play chess?" "Just a little." Huamin chuckled. "Come, child, sit down and play a few rounds." The old man was in high spirits. Huamin did not stand on ceremony. He sat opposite the old man and played chess seriously. After 3 rounds, the old man's face was gloomy. "Child, you're not telling the truth. How is this just a little? You're clearly an expert in chess." Huamin won 2 out of the 3 rounds. The last round was a draw because Huamin saved the old man's face. The old man had lived for a long time, so how could he not see this? Huamin smiled embarrassedly. In fact, she was not an expert. It was Uncle Jing who taught Jixin when he was young. She watched for a few days and then inexplicably learned it. She had not played it in all these years, but now she found the feeling. Come, that didn't count. Let's continue." The old man seemed to be addicted and refused to give up. At this moment, the head nurse knocked on the door. "Huamin, come out for a moment." Chapter 196. "Okay." Huamin slowly got up. "Sir, I'm going out for a bit. You'll be taking your afternoon nap soon. Don't forget to take the blood pressure medicine before you sleep." "Got it. Come back in the afternoon if you're free." We'll continue to play. The old man was full of anticipation like a child. Huamin smiled gently. Okay. After walking out of the door, Huamin saw that the head nurse's expression was not right. What's wrong? Head nurse? When Tingting went to young Master Su's room to clean up, she heard the bodyguard say that young Master Su ordered that you're not allowed to step into the room. There's an 4 drip at night. If you don't go in, I'm really worried that Tingting will mess it up. Xiaomei already made a mistake. If we make young Master Su unhappy, we'll all be fired. Oh, so that's what it's about. Huamin was extremely calm. Isn't this a big deal? This concerns the fate of our careers. Huamin, do you know? I've been working here since I was 28, and I'm 34 this year. It took me 6 years to become a head nurse. My monthly allowance is about 40,000 yuan, and I still have to pay off my mortgage and car loan. I also have a baby to raise. I can't live without this job. Song Lin was right. She was not complaining about being poor. To her, this job was very important. Although she did not dress well, she had a good reputation in the hospital. She did not get involved with the patients too much. Most importantly, Song Lin was already married and had a child. Her husband was just an ordinary employee. Her daughter was born prematurely and had poor health, so they spent a lot of money. It was not easy for her to raise a family alone. Huamin had heard Tingting mention it before. Therefore, he did not doubt the authenticity of this matter. Don't worry, head nurse. I won't let him find a chance to fire us. But you can't even get in the 4 drip. Tingting and Nannan can't do it. I know them too well. The head nurse had been working here for 4 years and had seen all kinds of big shots. Most of the patients would be fine as long as the nurse acted coquettishly and said a few nice words. However, this young Master Su was too hard to please. He didn't care about these things at all. I'll think of something. You don't have to worry about it, Huamin said confidently. Although Huamin had repeatedly assured her, the head nurse was still unsure. She was in a daze the entire afternoon and felt uneasy. When it was time for the night shift, Tingting got off work. Before she got off work, she deliberately reminded him, don't mess up the infusion at night. I know. Huamin nodded. At 6:00 in the evening, Huamin carried the infusion equipment to Ward 1. Stop, you can't go in. Why? Huamin asked. Young Master said that you can't take a single step into this room in the future, the 4 bodyguards said in unison. Huamin scanned their old-fashioned faces and said, it's fine if you don't let me in, but if your young master doesn't get treatment in time, his recovery time will be prolonged. If his condition is delayed, the higher-ups will blame me. I will say that you guys stopped me from giving him the 4 drip. Then you can ask someone else to do it. Young Master said that you can't go in, the bodyguard said stubbornly. If someone else could do it well, would I still be needed? Do you think I want to do it? It's not like you guys know how bad your young master's temper is. The other nurses don't dare to come, they're all afraid of angering your young master. I, on the other hand, am confident in my skills. So, if you guys continue to delay, no matter what happens in the end, you guys will have to bear the consequences. After Huamin finished speaking, the 4 bodyguards looked at each other and seemed to be wavering. Get out of the way, I'm going in. Otherwise, if I miss the time to administer the medicine, will you guys be responsible? After saying that, Huamin pushed the door open and went in without waiting for the bodyguards to say anything. He brainwashed the bodyguards with just a few words. Their IQ was really high. Suyu had a mini-monitor inside. It was a surveillance camera, so he could see everything outside. He thought that Huamin would retreat after being chased away at the door. He didn't expect that he would be able to convince the bodyguards with just a few words, which really surprised him. When Huamin walked in, Suyu turned off the surveillance camera outside. Raise your hand and insert the needle. Huamin couldn't be bothered to say another word. Suyu stared at Huamin. You're so eloquent and good at persuasion. It's really a waste of your talent if you don't become an MLM lecturer. Can I take it that you're praising me as a genius? Huamin looked at him and asked. Chapter 197. I can't be considered a genius. I can only say that my bodyguards are as stupid as pigs. Huamin chuckled. Su Yu saw the small dimples on her cheeks when she smiled. She was very cute. Unlike the women outside, their smiles were very pretentious. They would either cover their mouths and pretend to be reserved, or they would smile slightly and pose for photos. There were very few people who smiled naturally and beautifully like her. Huamin did not say anything else. After the 4 was hooked up, he prepared to insert the needle. I spent so much money here to suffer. Can't you get me a retention needle? Do you want me to die from the pain? Su Yu reprimanded with a cold expression. Huamin raised his head to look at her and said in an extremely serious tone, "That's why people like you who don't understand common sense are really scary. Retention needles are indeed convenient and can avoid the pain of repeated insertion. However, because the retention time is too long, it can easily cause bacterial infections and cause considerable damage to the blood vessels. Under normal circumstances, unless the baby is moving around and is afraid of the needle sticking, we don't recommend it unless it's a last resort." "Seems like you're quite professional," Su Yu muttered to herself. "Nonsense. If I'm not professional, would I be sent here to give you an 4? Do you think this is a good thing? Do you think I want to do this?" Huamin had already inserted the needle as he spoke. It was always done when Su Yu was not paying attention. Actually, it was not that painful. It was just like being bitten by a mosquito. Most importantly, young Master Su was too pretentious. Because he could not go out to eat, drink, and have fun, he was always looking for trouble in the recuperation area. "From what you're saying, it sounds like you don't want to take care of me?" "Of course," Huamin said as he raised his head to observe the flow of the 4. "Do you know that if you take care of me, you'll get an extra 2,000 yuan a day as a tip?" Su Yu asked. Huamin was startled and shook his head. "I don't know about that." Now she finally understood why everyone was fighting to be in the first ward. Not only could they be close to young Master Su, but they could also get an extra 2,000 yuan a day. It was really cool. "What about now? Do you want to come?" Su Yu thought that Huamin would take the initiative to beg him to come here. "Because taking care of you is very boring. The old man in the ward next door is better. You can play chess and drink tea with him. Well, you're basically fine. When the needle is removed, another nurse will come. Try not to sleep during this time and observe your infusion volume." After that, Huamin put his hands in the pockets of his lab coat and swaggered out. Su Yu was left with a conflicted expression. How could there be such an annoying woman in this world? He really didn't know how to appreciate favors. She actually said that taking care of him was not as good as taking care of the uncle next door. Tomorrow, he would ask around and find out what kind of uncle lived next door. He should drive him away. Huamin was on the day shift for the first week, so he could go home on time after work. Xiaomei was hospitalized because of an accident, so her job was temporarily taken over by the head nurse. When Huamin got off work, he met the nurse from another shift, Nan. She drove a white BMW X3, which was quite cool for a girl to drive. She glanced at Huamin's car and laughed. "This car is not very cheap. Why didn't you buy a brand? Not many people know about Volkswagen cars." This is my family's car. I didn't buy it," Huamin explained. Nan didn't say anything. She slowly reversed the car and drove toward the front door. Because of the traffic jam during rush hour, Huamin got home at 6:30. Qin Chu hadn't come back yet, so the house was relatively quiet. She opened the fridge and sadly found that there were only bread and milk inside. There were no vegetables that could be cooked. Just as she was about to go to the supermarket, she received a call from Qin Chu. "Change into something more formal. I'll pick you up at the door in 10 minutes. After that, he didn't wait for Huamin to ask anything and hung up. Huamin suddenly thought, change into something more formal? What day was it today? Chapter 198. After hesitating for a minute, Huamin went upstairs and opened the wardrobe. She didn't know when, but there were a lot of new clothes inside. The strange thing was that Qin Chu never told her these things. After looking around, Huamin finally chose a rose dress from Dolce & Gabbana's new summer collection. After thinking about it, she decided to put on light makeup to match it. She only wore a pair of white heels. When she looked in the mirror, Huamin felt much more pleasing to the eye. Maybe it was because she was used to going barefaced, but when she put on makeup occasionally, she felt that it was quite pleasing to the eye. Qin Chu was very punctual. He said that he would be there in 10 minutes, and he didn't miss a minute. When Huamin arrived downstairs, Qin Chu's car also arrived. When he saw Huamin through the car window, he was stunned. His wife didn't usually dress up, but when she didn't lose to those actresses and young models at all. Huamin even had a unique aura that ordinary people didn't have. In the passenger seat, Huamin asked nervously, "Where are we going now?" "To eat." "What day is it today?" Huamin suddenly asked. Qin Chu turned his head to look at her. In the end, he seemed to be slightly disappointed. After that, the two stopped talking. At the revolving restaurant on the top floor of the Pullman Hotel. This place overlooked the night view of the entire city. It was said that the chef used to be the head chef of a Michelin restaurant and was very good at cooking Western food and desserts. Moreover, it was very difficult to book a table here. Every night, only 6 tables were served, and each table was limited to 2 people. Qin Chu and Huamin sat at the best table for the night view. The atmosphere in the restaurant was especially romantic. Roses were arranged in every corner, and there was a handsome foreign man playing the violin live. "It's so beautiful here. I just realized that there is such a beautiful place in Sea City." Huamin sighed. At this moment, Qin Chu took out a small brocade box and pushed it onto the table. "This is for you." "What?" "Open it and you'll know." Qin Chu was deliberately mystifying. Huamin picked up the brocade box and slowly opened it. Inside lay a diamond ring. "Is this a proposal?" Huamin looked up at Qin Chu when he saw the diamond ring. "No, I just think that she suits you very well." Huamin took out the ring and put it on her finger. It was very beautiful. Not to mention the size, the most important thing was that she liked the design of the diamond. It was very small, not ostentatious, and not tacky. She liked it very much. Qin Chu knew her personality too well. That was why he gave her a gift. He didn't give her a pigeon egg to show off his wealth. "It's very beautiful." "Thank you." After Huamin put it on, he couldn't bear to put it down. He looked left and right again. Qin Chu smiled. It seemed that his efforts were not in vain. This diamond was designed by him. The diamond was also personally selected by him. He took it abroad for processing and finally flew it back. The total cost was no less than 3 million. Of course, Huamin didn't know the details. She thought that it was an ordinary diamond ring that cost 10 or 20,000 on the market. At this time, the waiter began to serve the dishes. There was medium well steak, foie gras, caviar, and Australian lobster. There was also a bottle of red wine that looked expensive. Huamin thought in his heart. Today was not his birthday, nor was it Qin Chu's birthday, but the atmosphere was. Qin Chu was silent. He poured 2 glasses of red wine and handed one to Huamin. Then he picked up his glass and said, "Happy anniversary." Huamin was stunned. Anniversary? Although he suddenly thought of something, he felt a little ashamed. "Sorry, I forgot that today is the 100th anniversary of our marriage." That's right. When they got their marriage certificate, it was still early summer. Now, it was already the end of summer. More than 3 months had passed. "It's okay as long as I remember." Qin Chu raised his glass and took a small sip. Huamin also picked up her glass and took a small sip. On such a special day, with a special person, coming to such a beautiful restaurant together. This scene was unforgettable. "You even prepared a gift for me." "I don't have anything for you." Huamin was a little embarrassed. If she had known, she would have bought him a gift. "If you really want to give me a gift, why don't you give me a kiss or something?" "I think I'd be happy to do that," Qin Chu said in all seriousness. Huamin's face turned slightly red, however, she still got up gracefully, walked to Qin Chu's side, and kissed him on the cheek. Just as she was about to kiss him, Qin Chu quickly turned his face and licked Huamin's lips. Then Huamin was confused. What was Qin Chu doing? Chapter 200. Huh? President Qin, you don't know Luo Feifei? She's in a fantasy drama called Investiture of the Gods. She's the female lead, Sudaji. I've never seen it, so I don't know. Okay, you win. Assistant Yang thought that even if the president didn't watch TV series, the media would report on Luo Feifei every day. The streets and alleys were filled with publicity photos of this woman. It was hard not to recognize her. Therefore, his boss was an alien and not an earthling at all. On the other side, Luo Feifei was about to attend a press conference. Once the scandal was exposed, it became even more popular. Many reporters blocked the entrance, waiting for an interview. Her manager asked carefully, "Feifei, did our studio make the headlines today?" "Of course not." "Oh? I thought our team planned it." "That's good news, you're on Weibo's hot search list now. You can use the press conference to promote your movie that will be released next month. Do your best." Luo Feifei looked at herself in the mirror and smiled. She didn't expect this scandal. She asked her assistant to make a reservation at Pullman a month in advance. She didn't expect the Prince of GK to be there last night. She regretted that she didn't recognize him. She wanted to use this opportunity to get close to him. The media always liked to make groundless accusations, but it was good. He could be considered her main force. Maybe she could use this opportunity to get close to the Prince of GK. Marrying into a rich family was every actress's ultimate dream. In front of the camera, Luo Feifei smiled sweetly and answered every reporter's question enthusiastically. Finally, a reporter asked, "Miss Luo Feifei, can you tell us about your dinner with the Prince of GK last night? Did you guys announce your relationship?" Luo Feifei was a bit shy. "It's not convenient for me to reveal that right now, but I'll share good news with everyone." Luo Feifei's answer was vague, which increased the attention on this matter. Another reporter asked, "I heard that you're the new spokesperson for GK's OWQ women's shoe brand. Did you accept this job because you're a couple with GK's heir, or did you become a couple with President Qin after your sister started working?" "Sorry, everyone, please ask about the movie that will be released next month. Thank you." The agent stepped forward to block the questions. Luo Feifei was doing this because she wanted to rise to the top and take the opportunity to hype up her popularity. She thought she was young and pretty, so even if President Qin of GK saw the news, he wouldn't blame her. Maybe he could even take the initiative to ask her out for a meal or something. In short, Luo Feifei thought things through too perfectly. After the interview was broadcasted, it received more than 10 million views. Many people were interested in the mysterious heir of GK. In particular, the scandal with Luo Feifei increased everyone's attention. On that day, GK's stock market skyrocketed. After Mother Qin finished watching the movie at home, she couldn't sit still anymore. She immediately called her son. Unexpectedly, he couldn't get through. Qin Chu had already transferred the call to voicemail because there were too many people harassing him. Even Gao Ran sent a WeChat message to Qin Chu. "Bro, what's your situation? Aren't you afraid that Huamin will make you kneel on a durian when you get home?" In fact, Huamin was already aware of it, but she knew the truth, so she didn't care at all. GK Design Department. After Jiang Linyue saw the news, her face turned gloomy. "Director, do you think our president is really dating Luo Feifei? Luo Feifei is a piece of trash. How could she be good enough for our president? She must be dreaming. Let me tell you, there are no women in the entertainment industry who are clean. Our president is a germaphobe, and he hates her for being dirty." Jiang Linyue was too infatuated with Qin Chu, so she already knew all about his habits. All these years, she endured loneliness and protected her virginity, all for the sake of one glance from Qin Chu. Inside the president's office, "Sir, this is a big deal. Should we ask the PR department to send a response?" Assistant Yang asked carefully. Chapter 201. Why should I respond to something like this? But Miss Luo Feifei is the new spokesperson for our women's shoes. Yang looked like he was about to cry. The chairman's wife couldn't find the president and kept calling him. He didn't know how to respond. This morning, President Qin said that he didn't know Miss Luo Feifei. However, Miss Luo Feifei had just been interviewed and her words were ambiguous. Who would believe that nothing had happened between them? With so many reporters crowding around GK, It wouldn't be right if he didn't respond. Yang's words finally caught Qin Chu's attention. He looked up and frowned slightly. You're saying that she's the spokesperson for our company? Yeah. Who decided? Qin Chu asked unhappily. The board of directors unanimously agreed to it. Oh, right, you were on a business trip, so the old chairman made the decision. Miss Luo Feifei is quite popular and the price is reasonable, so we signed a 1-year contract. Tell the marketing department to immediately remove her from the position and replace her with someone else. Replace who? Anyone is fine. But sir, we have to pay a penalty for breaching the contract, Yang said awkwardly. Do you think I'm short of money? Qin Chu asked back. No, that's not what I meant. I just wanted to say, what are you waiting for? Qin Chu's face darkened. Yang ran all the way to the marketing department and gave the order. The finance department immediately prepared the penalty for breaching the contract, and the team of lawyers rewrote the contract to minimize the losses. The PR department also sent out a letter announcing that GK had removed Miss Luo Feifei from the company. The news caused another uproar. Feifei, bad news. GK has breached the contract and you're no longer the spokesperson. Her manager rushed into the makeup room. Luo Feifei stood up immediately. What did you say? They want to replace you. Luo Feifei's face looked terrible. I don't know the details, but the company called me and told me that they're willing to pay the penalty, but they don't want you as their spokesperson. You know how popular that car is, anyone who endorses it will become more famous. We can't believe we missed such an opportunity. I don't want compensation, I don't need money. I want to be GK's spokesperson, Luo Feifei said stubbornly. Even if you tell me, I can't do anything about it. I'm guessing that what you said at the press conference this morning offended President Qin. That can't be. Luo Feifei was unsure. Also, I heard that. The agent hesitated. Or what? I heard that their president banned you from endorsing any of GK's products. When Luo Feifei heard this, she fell onto the chair behind her, dumbfounded. No, Ms. Lu, help me think of a way. Can you contact President Qin? I need to personally explain and apologize to him. I can't lose this opportunity to be GK's spokesperson. All the top actresses in the country are endorsing GK. I can't lose this great opportunity. If I really get blacklisted, my future will be very difficult, Luo Feifei said with a trembling voice as she realized how serious the situation was. Her eyes were red. The manager was a little angry. He thought to himself, if I had known this would happen, I wouldn't have acted so pretentiously and acquiesced in their relationship. Now that I've angered the big boss, I know how to cry. I'll try, but I don't have much hope. I heard that GK's president is very cold and unapproachable. Qin Chu was busy all morning. When he was having lunch at the cafeteria, the director of the public relations department walked in. She was a woman in her 40s, elegant and serious. She was an old employee of GK. President Qin, Miss Luo Feifei's agent, just contacted me. She said that Miss Luo Feifei really wants to see you. Is it possible to make an appointment? Okay, President Qin. After rejecting the appointment, Luo Feifei didn't give up. After work, she followed Qin Chu's car. At a traffic light intersection, Qin Chu slammed on the brakes. Luo Feifei's white Maserati couldn't dodge in time and crashed into him. Chapter 202. Qin Chu parked the car on the side of the road and got out. Luo Feifei's driving skills were average. Maybe she was too impatient and wanted to catch up with Qin Chu to talk to him, so in her panic, she crashed into him. You must be President Qin? Luo Feifei got out of the car and asked politely. Qin Chu glanced at her, then looked at his beloved car and frowned. You crashed into my car. I'm sorry, I didn't do it on purpose. I just wanted to talk to you about something. Qin Chu looked at her, confused. The truth was he didn't recognize Luo Feifei in person because she was wearing heavy makeup on screen. However, she looked different in person. You know me? President Qin, I'm Luo Feifei. What do you want? Qin Chu's face was cold. I said something wrong at the press conference, and I'm here to apologize to you. Please don't terminate my contract. okay? I don't want compensation, I just want to be the spokesperson for GK. Please forgive me. The PR department has already taken care of this, so there's no point in you coming to me. But these things can be done with just a word from you. Please give me some face. We're not friends, why should I do you a favor? Qin Chu was also confused. Why was this woman trying to get close to him? She purposely gave a vague response at the press conference, so she could use it as an opportunity to climb up the social ladder. Unfortunately, she messed with the wrong person. Then we're friends now. As long as President Qin is willing to forgive me, I'll agree to anything you want. Luo Feifei saw that Qin Chu was extraordinarily handsome, so she hinted that she could do something to him. Unfortunately, Qin Chu wasn't interested at all, he only said one thing: we'll choose a big star from Europe and America as our new spokesperson. My decision won't change, that's all. Alright, I'll leave the car here. After the insurance company verifies it, you can pay them the amount they're willing to pay. The money will be directly transferred to my company account. If the money isn't transferred in a week, my legal team will sue you. After speaking, Qin Chu stood on the side of the road, hailed a taxi, and left. Luo Feifei felt like crying, but no tears came out. She even felt like dying. What kind of fate was this? Not only did he fail to reach a deal, he even crashed into someone else's luxury car. As more and more people gathered around, Luo Feifei immediately put on her mask and got into the car. Then he called his agent and rushed over to deal with it. The traffic police and the insurance company arrived soon after. When the manager arrived at the scene and saw the terrible scene, she scolded, "Feifei, how did this happen? Don't mention it. That Qin Chu is so cold. I even suspect that he is gay. He didn't even move when he saw me." Luo Feifei kept complaining. Was he referring to Qin Chu as an iceberg? That's right, but it depends on who the target is. To Huamin, he was a once-in-a-thousand-years warm stove. In Huamin's wardrobe, all the clothes were personally selected by Qin Chu, including the underwear. Huamin sometimes blushed when he thought about it. It was really hard for a man like him to do these things for him. Therefore, when he was free, Huamin would go shopping by himself and buy some clothes that he liked. He didn't want to burden Qin Chu. After work at night, Huamin bought some fresh beef and vegetables from the supermarket and prepared to cook hot pot. Qin Chu got off work on time. Just in time, we can eat hot pot. Huamin smiled. Did you see the news today? Qin Chu lowered his head and changed his shoes as he asked. Chapter 203. I saw it. It was that high school student who helped an 80-year-old uncle up, but got blackmailed instead, right? The world is so unfair. They say that old people don't turn bad, but bad people do. The student's parents didn't want to pay, so they went to the high school and made a scene. They hugged the kid's leg and refused to let go. That's why I said I won't meddle in other people's business anymore. Thank goodness you helped me last time, but I won't be Mary Sue anymore. I'd rather be called cold. Huamin rambled on, but Qin Chu just looked at her quietly. Finally he said, "Mian, that's not what I'm asking. You should know what I'm asking about." Seeing how serious Qin Chu was, Huamin didn't dare to stray from the topic. She nodded. "I saw the news about you and that female celebrity. That female celebrity is quite pretty." "That's what you wanted to tell me?" Qin Chu frowned slightly, showing his displeasure. "Then what should I tell you?" Huamin was a little confused. "I don't know that Luo Feifei. Maybe because she's popular, the company invited her to be their spokesperson. But today, they terminated her contract, and I ordered all of GK's subsidiaries not to use her." If that's the case, won't you have to pay a lot of money?" "It doesn't matter, as long as you don't misunderstand." "I won't misunderstand. We had dinner together last night. The media likes to write nonsense, don't be mad," Huamin comforted. Qin Chu took off his jacket, lit a cigarette, and leaned against the sofa. He looked at Huamin. But today at the press conference, she purposely acted mysterious and wanted to use the opportunity to climb up the social ladder. Huamin smiled. "Isn't that normal? Female celebrities like to do that. It's just hype, it's not real. No, I won't let anyone use my private life for hype. I understand. Huamin nodded. Mian. Yeah. Do you trust me? Qin Chu asked gently. What do you mean? It's how much you trust me. Do you believe that I won't mess around outside? Qin Chu's eyes were deep, as if he was testing Huamin's attitude. Huamin nodded. I believe you. Why? Huamin pointed at his head. I didn't grow this for nothing. If I can't distinguish between lies and truth, how can I be considered a genius? Qin Chu was slightly moved. He raised his hand and said, Min, come here. It was rare for Huamin to be so obedient. He shuffled over and stood beside Qin Chu. Qin Chu reached out and pulled her into his arms. He buried his head in her neck. His warm breath made her smile slightly. Such an intimate action made her heart beat faster. He said, Mian, remember, no matter what happens in the future, I don't care what other people think. As long as you believe in me, I will die without regrets. Bah, what are you talking about? What do you mean by death? Huamin pinched Qin Chu's face. Qin Chu gently raised his hand and brushed away the stray hair in front of her forehead. It was as if he couldn't get enough of looking at Huamin. What are you looking at? Haven't you seen a beauty before? Huamin was a little embarrassed and snorted. Qin Chu's lips curled up slightly. Indeed, I've never seen a beauty come out of the shower naked and only know how to cover her face. There you go again. Are you going to say this awkward joke for the rest of my life? Huamin flew into a rage out of humiliation. He raised his fist and punched Qin Chu's body. He didn't use much strength, but to him, it was like he was flirting. He grabbed her arm and gently bit her lips. It was so soft. There was a slight itch amidst the warmth, and a hint of desire amidst the lingering sensation. Just then, Su Yu, who was being supported by the bodyguards, came back from the other end of the hall. He immediately saw Huamin. It wasn't because she was beautiful, but because she was at South Side, where short skirts and uniforms were very tempting. When he saw a nurse in a loose white coat, he was sure that she was Huamin. Ever since Su Yu arrived, he didn't have much of an appetite. Whether it was seafood, stir-fried vegetables, or desserts, he didn't have any appetite. Because he was bored lying in bed all day, he didn't want to eat anything. Some of the female celebrities under his company who were good at cooking had been thrown into the trash can by Su Yu. However, when he saw Huamin sitting there eating something and looking like it was delicious, his appetite was whetted. When he passed by Huamin, he glanced at it and found that the seaweed rolls were very small and cute. It was in the shape of a bear, and its eyes and nose were made of seaweed. It was so cute. What are you eating? He was very curious. Seaweed rolls, Huamin said without looking up. Give me one, Su Yu said firmly. No way. Huamin looked up with a determined expression. Chapter 205. I can give you money. 1,000 yuan for a seaweed roll, how about that? Su Yu said arrogantly. He always thought that there was nothing that money couldn't solve. If it couldn't be solved, then it meant that the money wasn't there. No, Huamin decisively refused. 5,000 yuan. Su Yu instantly increased the price by 5 times. Huamin looked up and smiled sweetly. Su Yu immediately felt proud. He thought that she would agree for sure this time. After all, no one would say no to money. To his surprise, after smiling, Huamin picked up a seaweed roll and put it in her mouth right in front of him. Young Master Su was so greedy that he was almost drooling. 5,000 yuan is enough to buy a car. Why don't you order takeout? It tastes better than mine, Huamin suggested. I don't want takeout, I want to eat this. Tell me, how much are you willing to sell it for? Su Yu finally lost his patience and directly offered a price. I'm not selling it for any price. Let me tell you this. You think that money is omnipotent, but you don't know that sometimes money is completely useless. For example, in the desert, you might not even be able to buy a bottle of mineral water with 100 million yuan. Su Yu's face immediately darkened. Not only did this woman not give him food, she even tried to reason with him. He was so angry. The seaweed rolls were getting fewer and fewer until there was only one left. Min ate the authentic Korean-style spicy cabbage to her heart's content. In the end, Suyu couldn't hold back anymore. While Min wasn't paying attention, he quickly grabbed a seaweed roll and put it in his mouth to chew. Hey, when did you become a robber? Min looked at Suyu speechlessly. Was he really the rich sugar daddy who was on the entertainment headlines every day and had all the girls in the city falling in love with him? How could he be so uncultured and not care about his image at all? It seemed like the newspapers were all lies. Seeing was believing. He was so uncultured. After eating, Suyu took out his wallet, opened it, and threw a stack of money on the bench. It looked like it was at least 3,000 to 5,000 yuan. Here's your reward. I won't eat for free. Why do I feel like you're an idiot? Min chuckled. Suyu immediately reacted. Who are you calling an idiot? You don't want to live anymore? Yeah, I don't want to live anymore if I have to take care of a hypocritical patient like you. Hurry up and die. Mian closed her eyes to piss him off. Chapter 206. You really? Suyu was speechless at Min's blatant provocation. If it was any other woman, he would have smashed her head with his phone without hesitation. But strangely, he didn't feel like he was going to hit her this time. He subconsciously looked at the woman with her eyes closed and thought that her eyelashes were very pretty. She wasn't like those women who wore fake eyelashes, grafted eyelashes, or wore black mascara. Mian's eyelashes weren't close, thick, or even curled up automatically. But because they were so natural, they gave off a refreshing feeling. She never put on makeup and only did basic skincare, so her skin was really good. It was white and bright. She didn't wear any lipstick, so her lips were a natural light red, looking moist and glossy. Her face wasn't very stunning, but it made people feel very comfortable looking at it. Suyu even thought that if he kissed her, her lips would definitely taste good. When this thought popped up in his mind, he was shocked. He had really seen a ghost. Finally, after looking deeply at Min, Suyu turned around and left. Hearing the footsteps disappear, Min opened her eyes, smiled, and said to herself, "This Suyu is as childish as a child, but he doesn't seem to have a bad temper. It seems that most of the rumors can't be trusted." Min didn't see Suyu being violent. At most, he just pissed him off. Therefore, she only thought that Suyu was a little childish and wasn't as bad as the rumors said. This could be seen from the fact that he had snatched his seaweed roll just now. What did the Su family's crown prince mean? They were making a mountain out of a molehill. Qin Manor Jiang Linyue sat on the sofa in the living room, flattered. She didn't know why the president's wife invited her to their house. It was her first time entering the Qin Manor, and it was indeed luxurious. The maid cut some fruit and poured some flower tea. Qin Chu walked down from the second floor, looking elegant and graceful. "Madam." Jiang Linyue immediately stood up and greeted her. "Take a seat." Jiang Linyue sat down cautiously, and Lady Qin sat down on the leather sofa beside her. "Don't be nervous. I called you here today not because of the company, but because of some personal matters. The chairman is not at home, so you can relax a little." "Yes, madam." Jiang Linyue smiled. Today, she was wearing a beige business suit, black high heels, black stockings, and exquisite makeup. Jiang Linyue was one of the most beautiful women in the entire GK Corporation. She had many suitors, but she was proud and arrogant. She never looked at those people in the eye. She just felt that being by Qin Chu's side was the best home for her. Luo Feifei's matter has been a hot topic these days. I was going to believe it and ask Chu, but then I saw the public relations department of the company send a letter to terminate the contract and never use Luo Feifei again. I guess that woman wants to use my son to get the position, so she angered him. Jiang Linyue nodded. That's right. With President Qin's status, he wouldn't have anything to do with those actresses with bad reputations. As an employee of GK, I trust him very much. Lady Qin nodded in satisfaction. I'm happy to hear that. I personally don't want Chu to get involved with those women in the entertainment industry. Most of those women have dirty backgrounds and are unscrupulous on their way to fame. They have too many scandals, so of course they don't have the right to enter the Qin family. No, they don't even have the chance to get close to President Qin. President Qin is very clean. Jiang Linyue praised. She secretly observed and noticed that Qin Chu never had intimate contact with any woman. He always went to work on time, and no one other than Assistant Yang was allowed to get close to him. I know my own son, but rumors are scary. He's so outstanding, but he's never had a girlfriend. People will gossip about him. The Qin family has always valued our reputation, and I really don't want people to seize the opportunity to spread rumors. Then, has President Qin never had a girlfriend? In fact, Jiang Linyue also wanted to know if Qin Chu was gay. Chapter 207. Lady Qin's expression changed slightly upon hearing this. I did, but we broke up not long after. We weren't suitable for each other, that was a long time ago. Not long after that, my son left the country. I'm not sure if he has a girlfriend in the States, because he rarely talks to me about it. I said, then you don't have to worry, Mrs. Qin. If President Qin had a girlfriend before, then it's not like what the rumors say. Jiang Linyue seemed relieved. Little Jiang, there's something I want to ask you. I hope you can tell me the truth. Go ahead, Mrs. Qin. Do you like Chu? Lady Qin stared at Jiang Linyue's face and asked. Jiang Linyue immediately blushed, then she bit her lip and nodded. Lady Qin smiled. Do you want to date him? Jiang Linyue raised her head, a bit dejected. President Qin won't like me. How do you know if you don't try? Mrs. Qin, you mean? Jiang Linyue couldn't believe that Mrs. Qin was trying to help her. Seeing Jiang Linyue's shock, Lady Qin continued, your background is very clean, I like it. Although you're not from a famous family, you're still from a scholarly family. Your family members all immigrated, and you're a simple family. You're highly educated and excellent at your job. You're my ideal daughter-in-law. Mrs. Qin. Jiang Linyue was extremely excited and didn't know what to say. Anyways, I'll create opportunities for the two of you. I believe that sincerity can move metal and stone. Although Chu's personality is cold, you'll get used to him after a while. Thank you, Mrs. Qin. Jiang Linyue immediately nodded in gratitude. Then, Jiang Linyue ate dinner at the Qin manor. After dinner, Qin Chu suddenly came home. Mom, what's up? Is Dad not feeling well again? Qin Chu opened the door and walked in. Oh no, your dad's in good health. He went to the hot springs in the mountains to recuperate. He's not home. Qin Chu didn't say anything after hearing this, but he saw Jiang Linyue standing next to his mother. President Qin, Jiang Linyue greeted him. Why are you here? Qin Chu looked displeased. I'm the one who asked Xiao Jiang to come and report to me about the company's situation. I've been taking care of your father recently and haven't had time to go over. If there's nothing else, I'll go back first, Qin Chu said and turned to leave. Chu, the driver asked for leave today, and it's not easy to get a taxi here. Why don't you give Xiao Jiang a ride? After all, she's an employee of our company, Lady Qin suddenly said. Qin Chu turned around to look at his mother, then at Jiang Linyue. Finally, he said, let's go. Jiang Linyue was ecstatic to see Qin Chu agree, and Lady Qin gave her an encouraging look. She jogged behind Qin Chu and got into the Maybach. To her surprise, as soon as she opened the door to the passenger seat, Qin Chu said coldly, go sit at the back. Yes, President Qin. Jiang Linyue didn't dare to say anything else and sat in the back. At first, neither of them spoke, and Jiang Linyue didn't dare to say anything either, afraid that she would say something wrong. Suddenly, Qin Chu asked, my mom must have said something to you since she asked you to come, right? No, nothing, it's all about work. You can't lie to me, I can imagine what kind of deal you guys made. To be honest, I really hate you, so don't think about unrealistic things. My mom's opinion doesn't represent me. I know, President Qin. Jiang Linyue nodded. But, in order to make sure my mom doesn't bother me anymore, let's make a deal. What deal? Jiang Linyue was slightly surprised. Chapter 208. In the future, no matter what my mom says to you, just brush her off. You don't have to say too much. I think that since you're the one she likes, she won't have time to find another woman for me after she spends all her time on you. That's not a bad idea. Jiang Linyue immediately understood what Qin Chu meant. She asked carefully, President Qin, are you saying that you want me to be a spy and help you put on an act to hide it from Mrs. Qin? I can give you a 2% raise. I don't care about the salary, President Qin. You don't understand me, Jiang Linyue wanted to say more but was interrupted by Qin Chu. If you don't agree to my proposal, then you will be transferred to the branch in Malaysia tomorrow. Jiang Linyue, the big boss, was indeed ruthless. If the deal didn't work out, then he had to be ruthless. In the end, Jiang Linyue had no choice but to compromise. I agree to your proposal, President Qin. Good. After speaking, Qin Chu stepped on the brakes and said, Get out of the car here and take a taxi home. You can report the taxi fee to the finance department tomorrow. Jiang Linyue got out of the car uncomfortably and watched Qin Chu's Maybach drive away. He was always so heartless, even kicking her out of the car halfway, but she still couldn't give up on him. When Huamin got off work, they encountered rush hour and were stuck in traffic. They had to wait for one red light after another. Huamin was bored. She took out her phone, took a picture of the traffic jam, and posted it on her WeChat friend circle. She wrote, The new gambling city has been born. From now on, Las Vegas will no longer dominate the world, but our great sea city will be famous overseas. Zhu Lingling immediately commented, I agree, let's just call our city the gambling city from now on. Jing Jixin also posted a comment, Sis, did you buy a car? Huamin immediately replied, No, the new company gave me one. Jixin was naive and believed her without a doubt. He even sent a cheering emoji, Sis, you're the best. Take me for a ride someday. Huamin was just about to reply when the light changed. She immediately focused on driving. When she passed by a big supermarket, she parked her car on the side of the road, planning to go in and buy some fruits and vegetables. Yet he saw such a scene. A woman was kicked to the ground with a pained expression. Not only did the man not stop, he kept hitting her. There were many onlookers, but no one stopped them. Huamin had mixed feelings when he saw the couple clearly. It was none other than Yuan Finfin, the pregnant woman she had risked her life to save some time ago. The person who hit her was her husband. Hubby, I beg you, please come home. Our daughter misses you very much. The woman cried miserably. You're such a jinx. You only know how to cry. No wonder I'm so unlucky. I lost a lot of money and almost went to jail. I'm so fucking disheartened. I'll beat you to death, the man scolded and hit him. Don't hit her. What kind of man are you if you hit your wife? The passers-by tried to comfort him. Get lost. We're a couple. Even the police don't care. It's none of your business. The man's attitude was arrogant. The woman was sobbing on the ground. After Huamin took one look, he was no longer in the mood to buy groceries. He turned around and got into his car. She wouldn't stop him. Previously, she had saved her out of kindness and was almost bitten by her. Therefore, Huamin didn't feel that this woman was pitiful. As the saying goes, a pitiful person must have a detestable side. That man often used domestic violence against her. Not only did she refuse to divorce him, she even thought that she wouldn't be able to live without him. A woman like this was destined to never find happiness. Previously, when she begged Huamin to let her husband go, it was reasonable. However, she played a little trick in front of so many people, which made Huamin extremely uncomfortable. Actually, even if she didn't act so much and went to Huamin alone, Huamin still might have let her husband go. Huamin only felt that the result of that incident was that they didn't cause trouble for the hospital. It was good enough that the hospital and he were innocent. However, right now, Huamin was thinking that a jerk like this would be better off in jail. It would be a disaster if he was released. The reason why they were where they were today was simply because of one word: retribution. Tragedies all stemmed from their own choices. After a little delay, it was almost 7 o'clock by the time she got home. Huamin walked in empty-handed. As soon as she walked in, she smelled the smell of cooking oil. She walked to the kitchen door in shock and saw a very melodramatic scene. Qin Chu was wearing a white shirt and black trousers, cooking. That's right, our almighty Qin was cooking. Boss Qin, can you tell me what you're doing? Huamin asked curiously. Chapter 209. I'm learning how to cook Chinese food. The simple yet powerful words left Huamin a little dumbfounded. Why do you want to learn how to cook Chinese food? I can do it. Huamin thought that the food she made was delicious, so she was the only one who knew how to cook. Qin Chu had been in the States for 7 years, and if he wanted to learn, he would have to start all over again. How troublesome would that be? Don't you like Chinese food? But I know how to make it myself. Huamin was helpless. Sometimes you get off work late, so you're tired and hungry. I get off work early and have nothing to do anyway, Qin Chu slowly said. Then he poured the mushrooms from the wok onto a plate. The faint aroma of the mushrooms drifted over, and Huamin's eyes immediately became misty. She was touched again. The truth was, it wasn't a big deal for a husband to cook for his wife. However, Qin Chu wasn't an ordinary husband. He was so busy that he could fly. He was the CEO of GK, and he wished that he could have 72 hours a day. The 7 subsidiary companies under GK were all leaders in their respective industries. Qin Chu had meetings that lasted 4 to 5 hours every day. However, he still went to work on time every day and cooked for her. How could she not be moved? Wash your hands and get changed, the food is ready. Huamin didn't say anything. She went upstairs, changed into a set of home clothes, and washed her hands. When she sat down at the dining table, she saw that the 4 dishes and 1 soup were already on the table. Judging by the color alone, she knew that they were going to taste good. They look delicious, Huamin exclaimed as she looked at the dishes. Steamed sea bass, mushroom stir-fried meat, bitter gourd fried eggs, and braised pork ribs. The soup was seafood soup, and clams floated on top of it. Qin Chu picked up the soup bowl, filled it with seafood, and handed it to her. Thank you. Huamin took a small bite and gave her a thumbs up. It's super good, I don't even know how to make this, how did you figure it out? The chef at the company's restaurant taught me. He's pretty good, so I asked him. Impressive. It seems that the chefs of big companies are indeed different. Huamin smiled. Because it was Qin Chu's first time cooking, Huamin ate a lot. He ate 1.5 bowls of rice. In the end, she couldn't help but say, if it weren't for the fact that I'm afraid of getting fat, I would really want to eat another bowl. It's okay. I won't mind if you're fat. But I despise myself. There's no spring for fatties. Huamin blinked his eyes, looking especially adorable. Qin Chu looked at Huamin's expression and felt very satisfied. All he wanted was to be with Huamin and have a simple little happiness. The next morning, Huamin arrived at the recuperation area. He changed into his work clothes and measured the blood pressure of the old man in room 2. Sir, please take it easy these days. You can't steal desserts anymore. Your blood sugar is already higher than before. Okay, got it. Hey, girl, when you're free later, why don't we play a game of chess? The old man's eyes glowed with excitement and anticipation. Ever since he found out that Huamin's chess skills were superb, the old man had been clamoring to play chess every day. Okay, but wait a moment. I have to go next door and give the young master an 4 drip. After speaking, Huamin returned to the on-call desk. He picked up the medicine that he had prepared and walked towards room 1. At this time, the bodyguard seemed to have gone to eat breakfast. Only one person on duty was left. He was busy sending messages on WeChat and didn't notice Huamin enter. After knocking on the door, Huamin pushed the door open and entered. Then, the scene in front of her made her feel extremely awkward. A beautiful woman with a hot body took off her clothes and clung onto Su Yu's body. Her actions were extremely suggestive. Huamin's sudden appearance shocked the beautiful woman. She immediately pulled her clothes up with a flustered expression. I'm sorry. You guys continue. After speaking, Huamin turned around and left. Huamin, get your ass back here. Su Yu yelled loudly. Chapter 210. Hey, this isn't good, is it? Huamin turned around awkwardly. How could she have known that something like this would happen so early in the morning, especially in a hospital room? Su Yu looked at the beauty beside him impatiently. Get out of here. Young Master Su? The beauty seemed reluctant. Get out of here, stop talking nonsense. The beauty reluctantly put on her clothes with tears in her eyes and walked out. When she passed by Huamin, she glared at her fiercely. She seemed to be blaming her for ruining her plans. Huamin glanced at the beauty and muttered to herself, Why does she look so familiar? Is she the host of the travel channel at 8 o'clock every night? There's a show called Around the World? Are all the bodyguards outside dead? How could they let you in? Su Yu said angrily. It had been a few days since he came to this shitty sanatorium, and he was almost living like a monk. Coincidentally, the female host came to deliver breakfast, so Su Yu wanted to satisfy his craving. However, he didn't expect that damn girl, Huamin, to bump into him. However, the strange thing was, after Huamin ruined his plans, Su Yu was no longer in a good mood. No matter how he looked at the woman, he was annoyed, so he immediately kicked her out. When she heard Su Yu's question, Huamin answered honestly, I saw 3 of them go to eat breakfast, and the last one was texting on WeChat. Based on his state of concentration, he must have fallen in love, so he completely ignored my existence. Su Yu raised his head and glanced at Huamin. He said angrily, Do you think you're Detective Conan? You're analyzing the case for me. How could my bodyguard not know? Huamin immediately shut up and didn't say anything else. Come here. Su Yu beckoned her over with his finger. What? Isn't it in 4 drip? Hurry up, I don't want to stay in this damned place any longer. Su Yu was a little impatient. It was rare for young Master Su to take the initiative to ask for in 4 drip. Huamin walked over and inserted the needle. Su Yu seemed to have gotten used to Huamin's technique and was no longer resistant to acupuncture. When Huamin was very close to her, he lowered his head and a few strands of his long hair fell down. Su Yu actually wanted to reach out and lift her hair for her. At this moment, Huamin suddenly raised his head. Seeing Death Killer raise his head, he immediately asked defensively, What are you doing? She wondered if she had hurt this ancestor and he was going to beat her up. Unexpectedly, Su Yu replied, Oh, I want to see if your hair is real. Or did you pick it up? What does it have to do with you? What kind of fetish do you have? Huamin glanced at her cautiously and muttered to himself. His excuse wasn't perfect enough. Su Yu felt quite awkward and immediately changed the topic. The seaweed rolls from yesterday were pretty good. Go home and make them again today and bring them to me tomorrow. Why should I? Huamin crossed his arms and looked at Su Yu. Because I'm your patient. The hospital doesn't have such a rule. You're so rich that you can get Tripitaka's meat if you want. Why should you eat my seaweed rolls? I think it's delicious. Why do you ask so many questions? You're crazy. Huamin turned around and was about to leave. What else do you want? Huamin turned around. The weather outside is pretty good. Help me out for a walk. Your bodyguard did this, didn't he? Huamin was slightly taken aback, wondering what was wrong with this ancestor. I'm tired of their beauty. Today, it's your turn. Me? Huamin was about to refuse when he heard Su Yu say, This is within the scope of a nurse's job. If you refuse, I'll immediately file a complaint against you. Huamin had no choice but to carefully help Su Yu up. They took the elevator downstairs and arrived at the hospital's back garden. The air outside was indeed very good. The sun was shining brightly. Huamin naturally had to have physical contact with him because he had to support him. Su Yu confidently raised her arms and hugged Huamin's thin shoulders. There was a small gap between the 1.85 meters tall Su Yu and the 1.65 meters tall Huamin. Huamin was about to say that there was a pavilion in front and that they should sit down. Then, she realized that Su Yu had lowered his head and was looking at her chest. Then, the guy said shamelessly, No wonder you always wear a white coat. It's so small. Chapter 211. In a fit of anger, Huamin suddenly loosened her grip. Su Yu lost his balance and fell to the ground. Stupid girl, why did you loosen your grip? Are you trying to get me killed? This is called breakdown therapy. Huamin looked at him provocatively, taking revenge for what he said just now. What kind of lousy therapy is this? I want to complain. Su Yu protested. Okay, I'll just quit. You make it sound like I don't want to live without this job. Su Yu, listen to me. I've served you enough. You're not even as easygoing as the old man next door. I'd rather play chess with the old man than give you acupuncture treatment in fear. With that, Huamin turned and left. Su Yu was alone on the grass. He couldn't get up, and there was no one else nearby. Being left in the hospital's backyard by Huamin and exposed to the sun for 10 minutes, Su Yu was furious. In the end, it was a passing nurse who found out and quickly helped Su Yu back. After he returned to his room, he picked up his phone and immediately wanted to call the person in charge of the rehabilitation center. But when he was about to dial the number, he paused. Huamin was right. At worst, she would just quit. If Huamin left, those stupid nurses would give him acupuncture treatment. They might end up like the first idiot, and he would suffer. After convincing himself, Su Yu decided to be magnanimous and forgive the stupid girl this time. But unexpectedly, Huamin took the initiative to say that she wouldn't take care of Su Yu anymore. The reason was simple. Not only was he hard to please, but he also took advantage of her from time to time. She couldn't stand it. Take today's incident for example. If Qin Chu knew about it, he would strangle her to death. Although she didn't marry Qin Chu willingly, Huamin thought that she couldn't be too intimate with other men outside. Huamin, don't be like this. If you don't do it, no one else will dare to do it. You are the best candidate. The nurse, Nan, kept trying to persuade her. It won't happen. We have so many nurses here. There must be someone with good skills. Besides, infusion is not difficult. You'll get used to it after a few times. It'll be the same without me. Huamin, did young Master Su make things difficult for you? The head nurse couldn't help but ask. Huamin nodded. Huamin, how about this? I'll give you an extra 500 yuan every day. I'll apply to the higher-ups. Huamin raised her hand and interrupted the head nurse. Head nurse, it's not about money. I just don't want to take care of him anymore. Leave the old man in room 2 to me, or transfer me to the neurosurgery department. I'd rather take care of patients with cerebral palsy. Huamin thought, even taking care of patients with cerebral palsy is better than taking care of Su Yu, right? At least patients with cerebral palsy wouldn't be so overbearing and domineering. Although she was a caring nurse, it wasn't like she didn't have a temper. If a tiger didn't show its might, people would think that she was a sick cat. Hearing Huamin's words, the head nurse didn't insist and only nodded. In the evening, a new nurse was transferred to perform the acupuncture. As soon as she walked in, she was kicked out by Su Yu. He said, "Let Huamin do it." Young Master Su, Huamin won't be responsible for your infusion anymore, the nurse stuttered. Why? Su Yu coldly glanced at the nurse's frightened face. She said. The nurse was so scared that she didn't know what to say. Are you stuttering? Hurry up and tell me, what did she say? Su Yu was about to go crazy. She said that she'd rather go to the neurosurgery department to take care of patients with cerebral palsy than take care of you, young Master Su. After hearing this, Su Yu's face immediately darkened. Great, this damned girl. He didn't even hold it against her for leaving him exposed to the sun in the backyard during the day, but she dared to play tricks on him. Chapter 212. Go get your head nurse. Su Yu was a little angry. However, when the head nurse, Wang Lin, arrived, she only apologized profusely and did not mention anything about Huamin. In the end, Su Yu had no choice but to put down his pride and ask, Huamin, that brat, let her take care of me from now on. Don't let other nurses come over, they're as dumb as pigs. What young Master Su was implying was that Huamin was the only one among the nurses who had good skills and that she liked the most. Most importantly, Huamin was not an ordinary nurse. Although she did not have a doctor's license, she was a nurse who could perform cesarean sections on pregnant women. Just from this point alone, one could tell that her medical skills were superb. President Wu was right. With Huamin's current talent, it would be a waste of her talent to be a nurse. However, who asked Huamin to be willing? Hearing Su Yu ask about Huamin, Song Lin was a little nervous. Young Master Su, I'm sorry, but Huamin she. No matter what she thinks, just transfer her over. Money is negotiable. Just ask her how much she wants and name a price. Is 100,000 yuan a day enough? Su Yu waved his hand, looking like he did not care at all. In fact, he was not confident because he knew that Huamin was not interested in money. Last time, when he used money to buy seaweed rolls, that brat refused to sell. It's not about money, young Master Su. As expected, Song Lin's answer was within his expectations. I don't believe that there's anything in this world that money can't solve. Su Yu's temper flared up and he snorted coldly. Young Master Su, Huamin is different. How is she different? Don't they all have the same nose and bright eyes? She doesn't look good, her chest is pitifully small, and she has a bad temper. There's really nothing special about this kind of woman. Su Yu commented stubbornly. Song Lin smiled and explained, Huamin's way of thinking is different from others. At first, I thought she was like that too, but later on, I realized that she's very strange. She works according to her preferences. Although her performance is outstanding, she can be quite willful at times. Actually, Song Lin was right. Huamin's character aside, his work was indeed outstanding, but his personality was too willful. No matter what she said, Song Lin refused to treat Su Yu as an important person. There were a few times when Song Lin thought that young Master Su would burn down the recuperation center because of his anger. However, not only was Huamin careless, but she also directly refused to take care of Su Yu. Her reason was that she was better at taking care of people with cerebral palsy than him. If Su Yu himself knew about this, he would probably explode. Song Lin didn't know that Su Yu already knew about this classic saying. Although he was furious, he still calmed down and asked Huamin to take care of him personally. Chapter 213. What do you know? My deductions have never been wrong. What a bunch of useless people. Continue investigating. After hanging up, Su Yu lay on the bed with a complicated look in his eyes. He treated Huamin differently. What piqued his interest was not the argument with her at the hospital, but her background. He did some research and found out that Huamin did not come from a good family. She had a younger brother and a mother. Her stepfather had passed away, and her biological father's identity was a mystery. For such a seemingly ordinary person to be able to turn the tables in an instant under the bombardment of the media and internet trolls, successfully clearing her name and turning her into someone of high status. First of all, the hospital did not have the ability to do such a thing. Second of all, Huamin and Wu Zhongxing were not related in any way. That was very strange. Huamin was just an ordinary woman. What kind of powerful force was secretly helping her deal with the aftermath? Previously, when he saw the news on TV, Su Yu vaguely felt that this little nurse's background was not simple. However, after coming into contact with Huamin, he found out that she was an extremely strange woman. All of this piqued Su Yu's interest. He thought that he had to get to know her better. This was getting more and more interesting. Huamin's refusal to be Su Yu's personal nurse instantly became the biggest news in the Southern Recuperation Center. During lunch at the cafeteria, Huamin became an extremely rare existence in everyone's eyes. Everyone was pointing fingers at her. Look, you've already become the news of our hospital? Nan Nan said with a smile. Huamin did not say much. She just lowered her head and ate silently. She had already kept a very, very low profile, but she still could not avoid being the subject of gossip wherever she went. Huamin didn't know why, but it was as if it was fated to happen. Huamin, are you really not going to take care of Su Yu? In response to Nan Nan's question, Huamin only responded with a simple yes. But if you miss this opportunity, won't you regret it? Although young Master Su has a bad temper, it's the dream of all the nurses at Southside to be his personal nurse. Do you know how many nurses are jealous of you? If they want to go, then they can go. Why are you jealous? Nonsense, they can't go. Do you think that young Master Su will take a fancy to anyone? By the way, young Master Su treats you quite well. You have given him so many injections, but he has never lost his temper. Do you have any unique skills? Nan Nan asked mysteriously. Huamin looked helpless. He finished the last mouthful of rice on his plate and raised his head to look at the young lady opposite him. I really don't have that. Oh. Then it's probably because your technique is good that it doesn't hurt. Hey, Huamin, teach me, I want to learn from you. Please, that's the most basic skill. Didn't you learn it in medical school? Huamin was both angry and amused. Nan Nan had been a nurse for a long time, but she still had to learn from Huamin. Huamin really wondered if she had paid attention in medical school. Why didn't she know the most basic skills? It was fine if she didn't know, but why was such an inexperienced nurse hired by Southside? Was it just because she was good-looking? Yes, I learned it. But young Master Su is different. He's harder to serve. Please, Huamin. Unable to resist Nan Nan's pleading, Huamin taught Nan Nan some of his acupuncture techniques in the afternoon after he finished taking care of the old man in Ward 2. The young lady went all out and began experimenting on her own arm. In the afternoon, her arm was densely covered with needle marks. After work, Huamin was driving home when his phone suddenly rang. He glanced at it and saw that it was from Ning Ziyuan, so he didn't pick it up. 3 minutes later, he received another text message. It said, Huamin, I'm getting married to Wu Xiaoxue on the 17th of next month. It's on the 3rd floor of Xingjing Hotel. It starts at 9 a.m. Remember to come and attend. Chapter 214. For some reason, Huamin's usual route home was especially congested today. She finally lost her patience and turned around to walk through a small alley. She bypassed the overpass and walked past GK's headquarters. The skyscraper was dozens of stories high, and when it was dark, it would light up with an aqua blue color. It was especially mesmerizing and looked like a water cube. It was said that this building had become the most iconic building in Sea City. What was even more ridiculous was that when tourists came to visit, they would come here to take pictures. It was as if this building had become a famous attraction in Sea City. Huamin once joked with Qin Chu about whether GK should directly develop tourism. Qin Chu stubbornly replied that he didn't have time for that right now and would think about it later. When they passed by Qin Chu's company, the traffic was unexpectedly congested again. Perhaps it was because it was rush hour, so there were too many cars. Bored, Huamin picked up her phone and scrolled through it. Suddenly, an idea popped up in her mind. So, she sent a WeChat message to Qin Chu. President Qin, I'm downstairs at your company. May I have the honor of having dinner with you? When Qin Chu saw the WeChat message, he was in the conference room discussing GK's jewelry release plan for the next quarter. Jiang Linyue vividly explained the details of the event, including the prices of a few popular jewelry brands, and the marketing trends after they were released. As soon as Qin Chu's phone rang, everyone looked over. Qin Chu only had one person on WeChat, and that was Huamin. He didn't even add Gao Ran, he just called him if he needed anything. After reading the WeChat message, Qin Chu quickly stood up and interrupted Jiang Linyue. I have to go out for a bit. You guys continue. President Qin, how can we continue if you leave? Jiang Linyue wanted to cry but had no tears. She prepared for this meeting for 2 whole weeks. She couldn't eat or sleep well because she wanted to perform well in front of the president and receive his praise. Qin Chu glanced at his assistant. Record the video and send it to my email. I'll watch it when I have time. That's all. After saying that, President Qin turned and walked out of the conference room, leaving more than a dozen executives in the room. Most of them seemed to have gotten used to the new president's style of doing things. Although this new CEO would always leave halfway, or be late and leave early, and was unreasonably willful. However, it had to be said that GK's profits were skyrocketing. It was said that last month's profits had surpassed last year's profits. The old chairman even personally visited the company to inspect the company. It was obvious that he was very happy. Huamin looked at his phone for a long time without receiving a reply. He thought that Qin Chu was busy, so he didn't think much of it and drove away. Just then, someone knocked on the car window. She turned her head, her face full of shock. Why did you come out? Didn't you ask me out for dinner? Qin Chu asked seriously. To Huamin, it was just a joke, but to Qin Chu, it was the first time Huamin had asked him out for a meal after 7 years. How could he not come? But are you off work? Huamin carefully noticed that the lights in the entire building were still on. Perhaps all the departments were still working overtime. Qin Chu didn't answer. Instead, he walked to the front passenger seat, opened the door, and sat down. He looked at Huamin and asked, "What are we going to eat?" "How about Xian's ramen?" Huamin asked out of the blue. The truth was, she wanted to eat it herself. "Let's go," Qin Chu ordered as he pointed at the steering wheel. Therefore, Huamin's unintentional joke became a reality. Not only did he have dinner with President Qin, but he also had dinner with President Qin. He even had to be his chauffeur. Inside the noodle restaurant, the two ordered ramen and some side dishes and ate with relish. Looking at the students coming and going of second high, Huamin suddenly felt that it was good to be young. She ate so happily that she didn't even notice the soup stains on the corner of her mouth. Qin Chu put down his chopsticks, picked up a tissue, and gently wiped her mouth. Huamin looked at Qin Chu and felt like she had traveled back in time to 7 years ago. "You're looking at me so affectionately. I have a feeling that you still love me," Qin Chu suddenly said. Chapter 215. Ahem, that's why I said that you were just imagining things. Huamin replied awkwardly. Then, she buried her head in her noodles and didn't say anything else. Qin Chu's eyes were slightly disappointed. He knew that she still had feelings for him, but he didn't think that she wouldn't dare to face it or admit it. This also proved that she still hadn't let go of what happened 7 years ago. So, when would they be able to let go of the knot in their hearts? After dinner, Qin Chu and Huamin went home together. Qin Chu went upstairs to deal with work, while Huamin went downstairs to change into her home clothes and start cleaning. At 8:30 p.m., Qin Chu seemed to have finished his work and went downstairs to read the financial news. Huamin, on the other hand, was holding onto her tablet and watching a TV show. Then she suddenly remembered something and said, "Oh yeah, Ning Ziyuan called me today, but I didn't pick up. Then he texted me." "Who's Ning Ziyuan?" Qin Chu looked up. Huamin was speechless. Here we go again. This guy always pretended to have selective amnesia in front of people he didn't like. With Qin Chu's intelligence, there was no way he would forget a person's name. He was just being arrogant and pretending not to remember. "That's my top-notch ex." "Oh, is he trying to get back together with you?" Qin Chu asked nonchalantly. Huamin shuddered. "How could that be? He's going to marry Wu Xiaoxue on the 17th of next month. So, you want me to help you steal the bride? Come on, can you be more serious?" Huamin was speechless at Qin Chu's nonsensical answer. Qin Chu glanced at her faintly and continued, "If I wasn't serious, would you still be sitting here in perfect condition?" Huamin, who thought of herself as a pure child, immediately understood what he meant. Okay, let's talk about something else. I'm just telling you, I don't plan on going to the wedding." "You have to go to the wedding," Qin Chu said as she watched the news. "But aren't we going to have to spend money on the wedding gift? I'm not going to do that." Huamin didn't want to waste a single cent on someone like Ning Ziyuan. "No, you have to go, and you have to spend more money," Qin Chu said stubbornly. Huamin was speechless when Qin Chu added, "I want him to know how rich your husband is. I want him to know that leaving him was the right decision. I want him to know that no matter how hard he works, he'll never be richer than me. I want him to give up on any thoughts of breaking up with me." Huamin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Qin Chu was so childish. He made it sound like she married him for money. Plus, Ning Ziyuan wouldn't be so stupid as to compete with the president of GK in terms of money, right? The next morning, Qin Chu went to work. Huamin was on vacation, so she had a lot of free time. She was wondering if she should eat with Lingling or go to school to see Jixin. Just then, her phone rang from an unknown number. "Is this Huamin?" A young man's voice came from the other end. "That's me. I'm Huasi," he said. It's you? What's up? Huamin was quite surprised to hear that it was Huasi. She had never interacted with him before. Back at her grandmother's funeral, he provoked her, and she retorted back. Both of them didn't get along very well. She knew that SIM cards used real names, so it wasn't hard for Huasi to get her number. However, this person called her out of the blue. Something bad must have happened. Chapter 216. Dad had a heart attack last night and was hospitalized. He's in the VIP room of the first hospital. Can you come and see him? He wants to see you. I'm not free, that's all. After speaking, Huamin quickly hung up. What did Hu Jinghai being sick have to do with her? Didn't he have a bunch of filial sons? There was Huasi Qian, Huasi, and that Hu Yanyan. She would be asking for trouble if she went. Plus, he never acknowledged her existence, so why should she go and humiliate herself? What identity would she use to go? What a joke. After the phone call, Huamin went home for some reason. On the way, she bought some fruits, vegetables, and beef. When she entered the yard, Yang Meirong was playing mahjong with a few neighbors. The atmosphere was quite good. Mian, you're back. Everyone greeted her with a smile. Huamin smiled and went inside to wash the vegetables and prepare lunch. At noon, when only she and her mother were left in the house, she hesitated for a moment before saying, Mom, Huasi called me today. He's the boy that Xinjiani gave birth to. He said that Hu Jinghai had a heart attack and is hospitalized. He wants to see me, but I won't go. I know that a lot of people might say that I'm unfilial and that I don't even care about my own father, but I don't want you to feel bad. I think that you and Jixin are the only family I have left in this life. I can't make you sad. Huamin's words moved Yang Meirong a little. After hearing this, she didn't speak for a long time. She just ate in silence. After she finished eating, she suddenly said, Clean up and come with me to the hospital. We're going to see him. Huamin didn't expect her mother's reaction and was slightly surprised. Mom? Huamin seemed to want to persuade her. I know what to do, come with me. Then, Huamin cleaned up the dishes and went out with her mother to the first hospital. In the taxi, Huamin didn't say anything. She didn't know what her mother was thinking. Was it because he was sick that her heart softened and she wanted to bury the hatchet and talk about old times with him? Or was it because she saw that he was sick and received his retribution, so she decided to taunt him? But no matter what, Huamin thought, at this moment, she would support her mother unconditionally. No matter how cold and harsh her mother was to her, she at least raised her from a young age and provided for her food and clothing. The grace of raising her was greater than the heavens. She knew this better than anyone else and would always remember it. In the VIP consultation room of the first hospital, news of Hu Jinghai's hospitalization was completely sealed off, so no media outlets knew about it. There were 2 bodyguards at the door. When Huamin and the others arrived at the door, they saw Xinjiani coming out. When she saw Yang Meirong, she smiled meaningfully. Go in. He's waiting for you. Yang Meirong didn't say anything. She just glanced at Xinjiani coldly and walked in with Huamin. Yang Meirong actually had a good foundation and was quite pretty. It was just that many years of living an ordinary life had worn away all of her beauty. Xinjiani was different. She was about the same age as Yang Meirong, but because she lived in a rich family for many years and ate well, she looked at least 15 years younger than Yang Meirong and had a different aura. When Xinjiani glanced at Huamin, she glanced at her with mockery and disdain. Huamin ignored her and followed her mother into the room. The moment Hu Jinghai saw Yang Meirong, the apple in his hand fell to the ground. You? He was a bit shocked. Mr. Hua, long time no see. Yang Meirong handed her bag to Huamin and sat down on the stool in front of Hu Jinghai with an elegant smile on her face. Chapter 217. Wrong. Hu Jinghai squeezed out the 2 words with a complicated expression. You haven't been in good health these past few years. I often see news about your illness on the news. Hu Jinghai smiled bitterly. Yeah, I'm old and useless. Yang Meirong smiled. How could that be? If you're useless, how could you have a son and a daughter with Xinjiani? Plus, The two families have been getting along well these past few years. You're actually quite successful as a person, but you're still a bit lacking as a father. Come, look, our Mian is already 24 years old. Yang Meirong reached out and pulled Huamin forward. Hua Zhenghai looked up, and when he saw Huamin, his expression was a bit complicated. Huamin looked very strange. She didn't look like Hua Zhenghai at all, nor did she look like Yang Meirong at all. It could even be said that she was more outstanding than the two of them. She wasn't like Hua Yanyan, who used money to decorate her face with microplastic surgery and makeup. She just had to wear no makeup, but her aura was enough to overwhelm everyone. Many women were jealous of Hua Zhenghai because of his love affairs. Gossip Entertainment once exposed that he kept 6 mistresses at the same time. Many of them had abortions for him, and a few of them were even sent to mental hospitals because of mental disorders. The drama back then was comparable to the harem of the Qing dynasty. Not to mention the scheming, in the end, not many of them came out unscathed. As one of Hua Zhenghai's lovers, Yang Meirong was both lucky and unlucky. She was lucky that she gave birth to Huamin and raised him safely. Unfortunately, all these years, Huamin wasn't able to marry into the Hua family. In the eyes of outsiders, Yang Meirong's hopes of marrying into a rich family were dashed, and the gains didn't make up for the losses. However, many years later, it was a blessing to have a sensible daughter. Mian, come here and call him Uncle Hua. He's more than 10 years older than your dad Jing. Yang Meirong's introduction stunned Huamin. Calling her own father uncle? Teaching her late uncle how to teach her father? His mother was clearly taking revenge. Although she knew it was inappropriate, Huamin still greeted him obediently. Uncle Hua. Rongrong, what do you mean by that? Hua Zhenghai felt a little depressed when she called him uncle. It's nothing. I just wanted to say hello. Yang Meirong was still smiling brightly. I know you still hate me. Hua Zhenghai sighed. What's there to hate? Now that I think about it, I have to thank you. Thank you for being so heartless back then and teaching me to let go of my feelings. That's why I always say that people shouldn't talk about feelings, because feelings are nothing in the face of benefits. Even though I didn't have much money these past few years, I've been pretty happy. I have a son, a daughter, and a bunch of kind-hearted neighbors. But your health really isn't good. What's that saying again? It's not the time to take revenge, it's just not the time yet. After Yang Meirong said this, Hua Zhenghai felt even more depressed. I know you hate me, and it's only right that you do. But right now, I want to make it up to you. I know I've let you and Mian down. I was wrong. Thank you for all these years. Hua Zhenghai was emotional, and his eyes turned red. Don't say that, Mr. Hua. I've been fine all these years, so you don't need to make it up to me. I was the one who raised my daughter, and she has nothing to do with you. Let's forget about our past, but there's one thing I have to tell you, and it's something I'll never forget. Back then, after De got into a car accident, he desperately needed 100,000 yuan for surgery. I begged you in the rain, I kowtowed to you, I knelt before you, but you were so cold that you refused to help him. I often think that 100,000 yuan is nothing to the Hua family, but if you were willing to lend it to me back then, De might not have died. So, you already owe to his life. Hua Zhenghai, you heartless man, you will never have a good ending. I really want to see you die bit by bit, only then will I feel comforted. Yang Meirong said each word with a stern expression, and in the end, she choked with sobs. Stop talking. Huamin couldn't bear to see his mother so emotional. He knew that she wasn't in good health, so he immediately went up to help her up. Chapter 218. However, if Yang Meirong didn't tell him today, Huamin wouldn't have known that there was such a story. Rongrong, I was blinded back then. Maybe I was too jealous of De. He's just my driver, why should he be with you? I don't want anyone else to touch my woman. I was jealous back then, and I know that I've let De down. Hua Zhenghai, who had always been heartless, was now able to face the past and was even repenting. Yang Meirong was also in disbelief. She thought that after she said what she said, Hua Zhenghai would ask the bodyguards to kick them out. What's the point of knowing your mistakes now? De died 7 years ago, I'm afraid there's nothing left of him, Yang Meirong said as she wiped away her tears. Mian, you don't want to forgive Dad either? Hua Zhenghai glanced at Huamin. Uncle Hua, you must be joking. I'm just a commoner, how can I talk about forgiveness with you? Huamin's words seemed normal, but they were actually more hurtful. Hua Zhenghai felt extremely sour when he heard Hua Mian call him Uncle Hua. Mian, I'm old, and there are some things that I don't want to regret. Everyone was once young, and everyone made mistakes. I hope to have the chance to repay you. Really, I've already given you shares of the Hua Corporation. As long as you're willing to come back, no need, we don't care about shares. Hua Zhenghai, at this point, do you still think that money can solve everything? Then you can live with your money for the rest of your life. Also, I really hope that after you die, Xianxia will keep her chastity for you. Otherwise, with how flirtatious she is, I'm afraid that she'll cheat on you after you die. Instead of worrying about us, why don't you worry about your son and daughter and see if they can survive in Jiang Hong's hands? After speaking, Yang Meirong grabbed Huamin's hand and turned around to leave. Hua Zhenghai's face was gloomy. After Huamin and Yang Meirong left, Hua Zhenghai smashed a vase in the room, spilling water all over the floor. Yang Meirong was amazing. Not only did she have a sharp tongue, she was also able to hit the nail on the head and point out what Hua Zhenghai was worried about. He was not in the mood to care about whether Xianxia would find a man in the future. What he was worried about was whether his precious children would be ostracized by Jiang Hong and Hua Xiqian. In the evening, Hua Xiqian came to visit his father. He held a small knife and peeled an apple for his father. Dad, eat an apple. Hua Xiqian smiled gently. But who knew what was hidden behind that gentleness? Hua Zhenghai knew that nurturing a tiger was inviting calamity. Back then, he had wanted to marry Xianxia and his son and daughter. He had no choice but to negotiate with Jiang Hong. Jiang Hong adopted a son from her younger sister, Hua Xiqian. Over the years, Hua Xiqian had become his biggest obstacle whenever he wasn't paying attention. Moreover, it was impossible to get rid of him on the surface because on the surface, he was already known as the eldest son of the Hua family. He was famous for being a filial son in the circle. Even if Hua Zhenghai wanted to eat fish in the middle of the night, he would still drive the cruise ship out to sea. On the other hand, Hua Si ate, drank, played around, picked up girls, raced, got into fights, and had a bad record. He was already a hopeless person. Even so, Hua Zhenghai was still unwilling to let his empire fall into the hands of an outsider. No matter how good Hua Xiqian was, he was not a descendant of the Hua family. Plus, his wild ambitions were obvious. However, it was not time yet, so they couldn't fall out with him. Therefore, they had to maintain this fake father-son relationship. How's the company? Hua Zhenghai asked as he took the apple. It's pretty good. I heard that you sent C to the ordering convention in France next month. Yeah, he's a grown-up now. He needs to take responsibility and slowly manage the company with me. Hua Xiqian was still smiling. However, the more he smiled, the more uneasy Hua Zhenghai felt. It was like a ticking time bomb that could explode at any moment. C is still young and reckless. Don't give him big business. He doesn't have the ability to do it for now. He won't. I think C is very studious these days. I have high hopes for him. Hua Zhenghai was speechless. He didn't say anything else and quietly ate the apple. Dad, I heard that Sister Mian came by today? Hua Xiqian asked casually as he held a sharp fruit knife in his hand. Chapter 219. Hua Zhenghai's hand shook slightly as he ate the apple. Then, he sighed and said deliberately, Sigh, I'm getting old and useless. I can't believe I miss Huamin so much. Yeah, I could tell that she was a good girl at Grandma's funeral. Hua Xiqian smiled. But that child doesn't seem to want to forgive me. I don't know if I'll ever hear her call me Dadkin. Hua Zhenghai was a little moved. Hua Xiqian reached out and patted the back of Hua Zhenghai's hand, comforting him. She will. Dad, don't worry, Mian isn't such a heartless person. She'll definitely come back, I promise. Are you close to Mian in private? Hua Zhenghai asked tentatively. I really like her as a sister, but she doesn't like me. She won't even greet me when we meet. I don't have a choice. I want to get close to her and take care of her as her brother, but I don't even have the chance. Oh. Hu Jinghai seemed to be relieved. What's wrong? Dad, did Mian say something to you? Nothing. Seeing Hu Jinghai's expression, Hu Xiqian only smiled and didn't say anything else. On the way home, Hu Min took his mother to a mall near their home and bought her autumn thermal underwear and shoes. Yang Meirong kept saying that it was enough and wouldn't buy anything. In fact, Hu Min knew that she was afraid that he would spend too much money. Mom, don't worry, I've already transferred to another job. The salary here is very high, I can support you and Jixin. But you can't spend it recklessly. It's not easy to make money. Yang Meirong sighed. In the end, under Hu Min's insistence, Yang Meirong finally agreed to eat out at a restaurant. She only found a small dumpling restaurant and ordered 2 dumplings and a small side dish. Mom, what you said today, was it true? Back then, did you really beg that heartless man for Uncle Jing's sake? Yeah, I was at my wit's end back then, and I was holding on to the last glimmer of hope. Then you went there today to taunt and humiliate him, right? Have you vented your anger now? Hu Min put a dumpling on his mother's plate. I can only vent my anger if he dies. The hatred between us is too deep. But Mian, remember, I won't stop you. If you still care about our father-daughter relationship, you can go and see her. You are you and I am me. I know the difference between us. Mom, do you think he really wants to make it up to me? Hu Min asked again. He doesn't look like he's faking it. I've never seen him cry in all the years I've known him. Today, his eyes are red. Perhaps he's afraid that he won't be able to hear you call him Dad in the end? Yang Meirong sighed. Hu Min looked at his mother and took a bite of the side dish. Then, he said slowly, Mom, that's why I said that you're still too naive. He saw through your weakness. You don't think he's sincere? Yang Meirong was a bit surprised. Hu Min sneered, haven't you heard of a type of tear called crocodile tears? Today, he deliberately put on a show for us to see. He doesn't really want to beg for our forgiveness. He just wants to rope us in. Like I said, he wants us to get involved in the Hua clan's fight, then stand on his side and help him protect his son and daughter. But what if you guessed wrong? You didn't wrongly accuse him? Yang Meirong thought back to what just happened and felt that Hu Jinghai's emotions weren't fake. There's no way I guessed wrong. Who's he? Aside from the fact that he used to be your man, my father? He's a huge business tycoon. Do you think a person like him hasn't seen anything? Why would he care about love? He hasn't looked for us all these years. Now that the Hua family is in a civil war, he suddenly has a conscience and wants to acknowledge me as his daughter? At the end of the day, he saw through human nature's weakness. When Grandma passed away, he asked me to go back home to pave the way for a dark relationship. Mom, I'm not you. I won't be used. You're too stupid, and that's why you ended up in this tragedy. I'll show you his true colors. I'll also let him know that he's not the only one who's heartless. His scheme won't succeed, and he won't acknowledge me as his daughter. After speaking, Hu Min lowered her head and ate the dumplings, one bite at a time. Yang Meirong was dumbfounded. She knew too little about her daughter's thoughts. Sometimes she even wondered if Hu Min was really her daughter. Why was she so smart? She was so smart that it was scary. At 8 o'clock in the evening, Hu Yanyan drove Xinjiani's sports car to the hospital room. As soon as they entered the room, Hu Yanyan impatiently asked, Dad, how did it go? Did those 2 idiots believe your act today? Did Hu Min agree to come back and inherit the shares to help me and my brother? Chapter 220. It's hard to say, I'm not sure what they're thinking yet. Hu Jinghai wasn't sure either. Hu Min and Hu Mian believed him. Shen Jiani walked over and held Hu Jinghai's hand with a gentle gaze. Jinghai, thank you for your hard work. It's all for the kids, what are you talking about? Where's C? He's still preparing for his overseas work trip next month. I can tell that he's working very hard. Shen Jiani tried her best to beautify Hu Ci's abilities in front of Hu Jinghai. Hu Jinghai nodded and didn't say anything else. He really loved Shen Jiani and her children. Even though Huosi was a good-for-nothing and Hui Yanyan was arrogant and willful, he still thought of them as his real children. As for Huomin, he always had a disgusting thought in his heart. He thought that Huomin's daughter was unclean. After Yang Mirong got pregnant and failed to force her to abdicate, he hoped that she would obediently give birth to his child. Who would have thought that she would run away with his lowly driver, Jingde, and even start a family of her own? Therefore, Hu Zhenghai always thought that Yang Mirong had an affair with Jingde when she was pregnant with Huomin. Therefore, even if it was his own child, he couldn't bring himself to like it. This was also the reason why he didn't care about the mother and daughter all these years. After walking out of the first hospital's room, Hui Yanyan complained, "Mom, when is my dad going to stop pretending to be sick? He's not sick at all, why does he have to pretend that he's sick? If it weren't for Huomin's help, would my brother and I really be in danger? What if she took the shares and didn't help, or helped Huoxiqin deal with us? I heard that auntie went to Huomin before. Do you think your dad is stupid? Of course he wouldn't think of that. Although the shares were given to Huomin on the surface, she doesn't have the right to use them or sell them. Plus, those shares are tied to yours, which means that as long as she returns to the Huo family and inherits the shares, she has no choice but to stand on our side. Will she take the bait?" Hui Yanyan was a little worried. That share is worth hundreds of millions. What do you think? Xin Jiani was sure that Huomin would take the bait because of money. In her eyes, no one could resist the temptation of money. For a 24-year-old girl who was afraid of being poor, a 24-year-old girl who had no experience in life, that amount of money could really be spent for a few lifetimes. Why would she not agree? If Huomin agreed to help them, would the money really go to Huomin? The answer was no. How could Xinjiani let Huomin get the money that belonged to her children? Asking Huomian to come back and help was just a delaying tactic. She wanted Jiang Hong to lose control of the situation. Huomin still had to get out of the Huo family. Unfortunately, they did not know that their wishful thinking seemed to be too perfect. Huomin was not that easy to deal with. Even if Huomin comes back, our chances of winning are not very high. Mom, Huoxiqin is very scary. We have to think of another way. You know how scary Huoxiqin is. I told you to find a rich and powerful family to marry into and support us. While Huoxiqin is not married and does not have the support of his father-in-law's family, we should take the opportunity to strike first. Hui Yanyan immediately pouted. Mom, marriage is the most important thing in a lifetime. I don't want to be hasty. Now you're pretending to be reserved with me? Haven't you always liked Suyu? Don't you want to marry into the powerful Su family? Xin Jiani asked her daughter. Chapter 221. Of course I want to, but Suyu has too many women around him. I don't have an advantage over him. Hui Yanyan lowered her head, looking unconfident. Yanyan, it's not that I'm pressuring you, but from the moment you were born into the Huo family, you didn't have the right to talk about freedom of marriage. Your marriage should only be based on benefits. Don't talk about love. Yanyan, you're still young. When you're my age, you'll understand, Xin Jiani advised earnestly. Mom, none of the men in my circle are good. All of them treat relationships like child's play. I really don't want to be married to them, but Su Yu is different. Although he has many women, he doesn't care about any of them. Those women are like clothes to him. He doesn't have any feelings for them. He's handsome and rich. I want to be the princess that everyone looks at. More than that, I want to be Su Yu's favorite, just like how Dad loved you back then. So many socialites were looking forward to the Su family. No matter how bad-tempered Su Yu was, there were still countless women who were willing to bow down to him. Hui Yanyan especially liked Su Yu's looks and arrogant personality. However, Su Yu didn't even care about her. She didn't have a chance to get close to Su Yu. Xin Jiani thought about it and said, the Su family is great, but young Master Su isn't easy to get close to. He's unpredictable. I'm afraid it won't be easy for you to carry out this plan. How would I know if I don't try? I have a few girlfriends who hang out with Su Yu's buddies all day long. I'll always find a way to make him interested in me. Also, I'm different from those women. I'm clean and have no negative news. Once Su Yu is interested in me, I'll strike while the iron is hot. Not only do I want to be with Su Yu, but I also want to marry him and get the support of the Su family. Isn't the Su family a family with only one son? I just want to get pregnant with Su Yu's child. That would be for the best. Xinjiani nodded approvingly. They only cared about their own sweet dreams. They didn't even think about the fact that Su Yu would never marry Huo Yanyan. Even if he was willing to marry her, Huo Xiqian would not agree. He would not allow himself to have such a strong opponent. Moreover, Su Yu still didn't know who Huo Yanyan was. Not to mention having Su Yu's child. If Huo Min were here, she would definitely say, Huo Yanyan, aren't you overthinking things? Huo Min had planned to spend time with her mother during her vacation. After shopping for a day, she bought some things and ate with her mother. In the end, the mother and daughter took the bus back home. Mian, why don't you stay over tonight? I'll make you some handmade noodles with mushroom and meat sauce, Yang Meirong emphasized. Handmade noodles with mushroom and meat sauce was her mother's specialty. It was delicious. She made it every time when she was little. Every time she made it, she would eat 3 big bowls. Jixin would also fight to eat, afraid that it wouldn't be enough. Hearing her mother's words, Huo Min was slightly touched. She was about to agree to stay over tonight and spend time with her. Just then, she received a call from the hospital. Mom, something came up at the hospital. I'll go back and see you another day. Okay, be careful. Yang Meirong reluctantly watched her daughter leave. After today's incident, she realized that her daughter didn't have it easy. She was unmoved by the Huo family's wealth. She felt very comforted to be on the same side as her. When they arrived at Southside Recuperation Center, Huo Min didn't even have time to change and went straight to room 2. Uncle Lu, why didn't you listen? Didn't you say that you can't eat sweets? You have high blood sugar and high blood pressure, and you're still recovering. You have to pay attention to your diet. I just ate a little bit of honey. Uncle Lu looked wronged. Chapter 222. Do you know how much sugar is in honey? I'm not trying to scare you, but if you don't take care of yourself, you'll die. I know. The old man nodded and didn't dare to talk back. Huo Min injected insulin into the old man's stomach. Then she reminded him about his diet and threatened him, if you don't listen to me, I won't play chess with you anymore. You can stay here by yourself. I'll listen to you. The old man was like a child, and his words were childish. After comforting the old man in room 2, Huo Min walked out and stretched. Coincidentally, Su Yu was walking out for rehabilitation with the help of the bodyguards. When Su Yu saw Huo Min, he was about to speak, but Huo Min turned her face away and didn't even look at him. This made him angry and frustrated, but because of his pride, he couldn't talk to her. Young Master Su, what do you want to eat tonight? I'll ask the chef to prepare it, the nurse, Nen, carefully walked over and asked. Su Yu glanced at Huo Min, who was sitting at the on-call desk, and said, I want to eat seaweed rolls. Seaweed rolls? Nan was slightly surprised. Huo Min didn't respond. Instead, she got up, grabbed her phone and keys, and walked out. Nan, I'm leaving now. Uncle Lu's condition is stable now. Just pay attention to his diet. Okay. Then Huo Min walked out. When Huo Min walked past, Su Yu childishly stuck out his foot. He wanted to trip her on purpose, however, Huo Min seemed to have noticed this small movement. After Su Yu stuck out his foot, she stepped on it without hesitation. You stepped on? Young Master Su cried out in pain before he could finish his sentence. Huo Min glanced at him coldly. Su Yu, how old are you? Su Yu's face immediately darkened when he heard this. If you're an adult, please, don't do such boring things. Doing these things will only lower your IQ. It's not good for your brain development. Nan, go and report this to the head nurse. The patient in room 1 not only has a problem with his legs, but he also seems to have some mental problems. After speaking, Huo Min walked out of the door in a carefree manner. Nan secretly observed young Master Su. She noticed that his facial expression kept changing and he looked really good. Young Master Su, do you still want more seaweed rolls? Nan asked carefully. Do I look like a seaweed roll to you? Suyu asked snappily. Nan Nan was so scared that she dared not make a sound. The bodyguards didn't dare to move either. They were as helpless as robots. Suyu took a deep breath and finally suppressed his anger. Come here, help me back. Suyu waved at the bodyguards and walked back to his room. If she didn't see it with her own eyes, Nan Nan wouldn't have believed that Suyu was so calm when Huamin mocked him. He wasn't angry, he didn't complain, and he didn't smash Huamin's head with a glass bottle. Could it be that Huamin was really Suyu's natural nemesis? Everything had its nemesis? Even the head nurse, Wang Lin, was shocked by this. Because of this, they were even more polite to Huamin. No matter what kind of patient he was, he would always be able to make them obedient. Because Huamin threatened to not play chess with him, the old man in room 2 took the initiative to eat light food and didn't dare to steal any more food. Huamin worked at Southside Recuperation Center for less than half a month, but he became famous. Gradually, news of him spread. Suyu lay on the hospital bed and thought about what just happened. He wasn't angry anymore, and instead he smiled. Ever since he was young, this was the first time someone said that he had a problem with his IQ. Huamin was the first. He turned on his phone and searched for the video that Huamin talked about in front of the first hospital a while ago. The young girl, who didn't have any makeup on, faced tens of thousands of reporters and calmed down the doctor-patient controversy with just a few words. For some reason, Suyu found her expressionless face and melodious voice very special. In the end, the video stopped at Huamin smiling slightly at the media. Suyu paused the video and looked at the video on his phone. The corner of his mouth twitched. Very good. My life will become more colorful because of your appearance. I'm looking forward to it. When Huamian returned to Imperial Park, Qin Chu was already back because the light in the study upstairs was on. Huamin took off his jacket and made a cup of coffee. He knocked on the door and asked with a smile, "Hey, President Qin, would you like some coffee?" You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.